The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice or watching my happy little face on all social media platforms, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and I am your host on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 1 to 4 p.m. Listen, if you are all feeling the way I have been feeling today, I did not want to move. It was a great 4-day weekend. Happy Thanksgiving, happy Unity Feast, happy whatever it is that you did to survive this weekend COVID-19 style. I know lots of you opted to stay home, even though many people traveled by plane and automobiles and stuff to go to visit their families. And they're being told now that when you get back home, you immediately have to take a coronavirus test and to assume that you have the virus. That is how much it has been spreading. But what did you do for Thanksgiving? What did you do for your Unity Feast? My husband and I, just the two of us in the house, I cooked like I was cooking for 45 people, honey. Mother's refrigerator looked laden and burdened, and it was filled with all sorts of goodness. We had black cake, we had peach cobbler, we had roasted beef and roasted pork and roasted turkey, and I had fish and just all sorts of things. So I've been making goodie bags and just donating it to folks. They either come to pick it up at my door or I just drop it off, because we just couldn't have anybody in the house. So that's what we were doing, and that's how we spent our Thanksgiving. And on Thursday evening, I zoomed into my sons and to my siblings and talked to my parents, and I liked it so much. I said, maybe these upcoming holidays, I won't have anybody in my house. I'll just tell everybody, cook your own food. Cook your own food. I'll call you. I'll wish you Merry, Merry, Joy, Joy, Happy Kwanzaa, and everybody stay at their house. Because once I was finished talking to everybody, I could just pack up and go to bed, which was a great thing. And so that was awesome. So let Mother know how your holidays were. What did you do? Did you even have anyone to spend holidays with? Because sometimes we assume that everybody has food to eat, or everybody has someone that they have to spend some time with over the holidays, and it can be the loneliest time. And so, for those of you who didn't have anyone, I send my love and my peace to you. And if if you need something and we can help you, just let us know, right? We're only as good as the next person around us. Of course, my voice, and Michael is about to send me the Lysol spray can. But that's just what happens when I get excited. So breaking news, y'all. I'm waiting for the link to be sent to me, but clearly isn't here yet. Congress is briefly reconvening under pressure from Donald Trump and Biden to pass a COVID-19 stimulus bill after months of gridlock. This country is in such dire straits. People are struggling badly, and we're really trying to figure out how to help folks, to make sure that lots of folks are, food insecurity. They don't have any food. Many people still have no jobs, and the stimulus check has run out, and the unemployment check has run out, and they're facing eviction. Never mind having to pay bills. Some folks are already living in their cars. And, today I want to really have a conversation with you all about empathy and thinking about the people around you and not just yourselves, right? Moderna is asking for emergency access so that they can start to give out the COVID-19 vaccines because it's considered 94% effective. And so they're saying in a matter of weeks, we could be able to, some people will be able to start getting the vaccine. And I know we're talking a lot about COVID, but the honest truth is we're looking at 500,000 people dead if more folks don't take this seriously, right? And so on KYW this morning, they put out a thing that says, it was written by Pat Loeb, as the country awaits FDA approval for a COVID-19 vaccine, Philadelphia health officials are already preparing for the gargantuan task of distributing it to the city's legion of healthcare workers, and as more becomes available, the rest of the city. So pay attention. And then I want you to call in and tell me, are you one of those people who are going to take the vaccine when it comes? Or are you one of those people that's I'm just going to wait and see? Because, black folks, we have a tendency to not trust the medical system, and for good reason. But, I'm working on getting, in fact, I have to reach out to her. I have a couple of black doctors that I want to have on my show consistently to talk about our health and women's health in particular, because there's just so much going on, and we tend to put ourselves last, right? Let me see. Let's see. Smart News link. It says here, and I haven't heard from Michael, so I'm assuming I have no callers. Everybody is on. Let me see if I can open this up. Sometimes it's so hard because these links. Yep, not working. This is so much. It's too much. They put you through so much stuff just to even open up their stuff and read it. I can't even be bothered at this point. So let's see. All right. All right. Let's see what else is going on. The Washington Post. Inside a hospital as the coronavirus surges, where will all the patients go? An open bed is a gift at a Wisconsin hospital where patients still can't believe other people still don't take COVID-19 seriously. Did you all hear about the nurse that was bragging on TikTok that she doesn't wear her mask when she gets out of her work? I'm going to read that first. That's from the Washington Post, too. So crazy. An Oregon nurse bragged on TikTok about not wearing a mask outside of work. She is now on administrative leave. But she's not the only one. We continue to see people out here just not wearing their masks, and they don't care. This was written by Andreas Salcido. Today, it was published today for the Washington Post. Dressed in blue scrubs and carrying a stethoscope around her neck, an oncology nurse, she's a cancer nurse, in Salem, Oregon, looked to the Grinch as inspiration while suggesting that she ignored coronavirus guidelines outside of work. In a TikTok video posted on Friday, she lip-dubbed a scene from How the Grinch Stole Christmas to get her point across to her unaware colleagues. She does not wear a mask in public when she's not working at Salem Hospital. When my coworkers find out I still travel, don't wear a mask when I'm out and I let my kids have play dates, the nurse wrote in a caption accompanying the video, which has since been deleted. Following swift online backlash from critics, her employer, Salem Health, announced Saturday that the nurse has been placed on administrative leave. In a statement, the hospital said the nurse, who has not been publicly identified by her employer, displayed cavalier disregard for the seriousness of this pandemic and her indifference towards physical distancing and masking out of work. Which leads to this. A friend of mine said to me the other day that someone had an issue, and a firefighter, EMT from one of the fire departments in Philadelphia showed up to help the person that was in trouble, and the EMT refused to wear his mask. And when they asked him why wasn't he wearing his mask, he brushed them off. So I told him, I said, send me the name of the fire station and let me know exactly, so I can talk about it, right? Because when you are supposed to be taking care of patients out there, he was over this patient on the ground, and he had no mask on and had no qualms about not wearing a mask at all. And so it's one thing if you don't want to take your life seriously, but when you are someone who works in the health industry, the healthcare industry, and you're watching patients die, when you see on the news every day that they're saying in El Paso that they were using prisoners to store bodies until they got too much for the prisoners, and now they're using closets as storage spaces for bodies in El Paso because so many people have died from this virus. When you keep hearing folks say they just don't believe it can happen to them. When I watched a man on MSNBC coming back from visiting his in-laws, his wife's parents, and he said, well, I'm a truck driver, and I don't know anybody with COVID, so I don't believe COVID exists. There's something intrinsically wrong with what's happening here in America. There is this cognitive dissonance, if I don't see it, if I don't feel it. And even people who were dying from the virus were laying on their hospital beds saying they don't believe they have COVID and that COVID is a hoax. And so what do we do? What is it going to take? How many of us are going to be sick and dead? The year 2020 is the end of a decade. 2021 starts a new decade. This is how we're ending it? Are we coming out of this alive? Or are we just going to sit around and say a whole bunch of yin-yang and don't really pay attention to what is it that we're supposed to be doing? So now this nurse is on administrative leave. But the fact of the matter is she doesn't wear her mask outside of work. She already said that she lets her children have play date. So if you want to do contact tracing, then we can go right on over to her because that's where it is. Miss Mary, Mount Airy, line 2. Hi, Miss Mary. How are you?
Oh, good afternoon, Andrea. I'm fine, thank you.
How was your holiday?
Oh, it was fine. Every day is basically a holiday for me since I have to cook. So,
yes.
I cook what I like,
Yes.
But we have so many issues here, not only in the city, but in the country. Apparently we have 450 murders in Philadelphia. And, instead of us supporting these nonprofits, they need to be giving the money to the people that are in need. I mean, these young people are basically going out there probably trying to provide in an illegal way for their families since it's an open air drug market in this city. So we need to stop this. If anything, we need to start collecting revenue from the people that owe us, not only with the fracking and the pipeline, natural gas industry. They owe us trillions of dollars. We have to look at a lot of these people that have illegally took our properties away from us based on hospital bills that Sheriff Green was a part of, selling off the liens and everything. We still have not collected the $150 million that Mayor Nutter filed against Sheriff Green and the developers, because they listed 10 developers that basically benefited from this illegal activity.
So let me see. Wait, hold on one second, Miss Mary. Let me see. I just need some clarity from you, right? Because this was before my time. Are you saying that people owed money on their hospital bills and that there were liens put on their homes and that several developers jumped in and took those homes away from the folks?
Yes.
Because of Sheriff Green?
The city and the hospitals sold the liens illegally to these developers because we had a law in place that it was illegal to sell the liens. Apparently, since the poorest big city in the country, I mean, city council, the mayors have did a lot of illegal things in this city, and we need to start holding them accountable instead of just saying it. We have no attorneys that will go after them. You know, we have like community legal service. They're just turning a blind eye. We have ACLU that's aware of the situation. What attorney is going to step up, you know, to represent the taxpayers, the cities? If the U.S. attorney does not do it, if the attorney general like Josh Shapiro or U.S. attorney McSwain or district attorney Krasner, if they don't start prosecuting these people instead of turning a blind eye, we're going to continue to be an impoverished city. And you're going to see a lot of violence, because what's going to happen when these families are in need? They're going to go after the ones that they think may have money available in their homes. You know, so we need to wake up to reality. We know what's going on here. No, if anything, city council is funding these illegal nonprofits that are doing nothing to stop the violence in this city. Instead of giving it to the family members, we could give these children stipends to attend school, to attend a training center when they can be successful. No, we're going to hand it out to nonprofits that's going to look the other way. Let's wake up to reality. And I want to mention the Bill Cosby case.
Yes,
you know, this man, hopefully he has humbled himself, but he set a precedent with his case when the federal judge unsealed those settlement cases. That allows all unsealed cases to be reopened. So he set a precedent in that way, and also the Commonwealth set a precedent where they allowed other people to testify in against Bill Cosby. Now, that same information can go against not only President Trump, but all these other offenders that were never prosecuted behind those crimes. So they need to keep that in mind. And now President Trump is trying to stop our mail-in ballots, thinking he's going up to the Supreme Court based on, he's saying the judge ruled that he was time barred, and if the Supreme Court takes that case, it's going to give everybody an opportunity to go back in court. And I'm for one, because my case was listed as time barred. Even though I continue to pursue it for other people, But if they take President Trump's case, a time-barred case, then they're going to have to open up every case that was listed time-barred in this country. Thank you and
so much, Miss Mary. All right, bye-bye. Oh, I just see the news break about the Bill Cosby appeal. Jesus, there's so much going on in this country and state. It's hard to even keep up. Glenn from South Philly, how are you?
Yes, this is Glenn from South Philly. How are you doing today?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Okay, I called about a week ago, and I mentioned some things concerning the test, and they found that the virus was in the test. And you said you would check it out. And you were
I did, and the virus was not in the test. The way where the test was prepared made it not safe enough to use, but the virus was not in the test itself. I did check it out extensively. I did.
And they said that the test was contaminated with 3 different sources, and one was the Washington Post, the other one was NPR, and the other one was the New York Times. So you checked out all 3 of those?
Yes, sir. They were contaminated, but not with the virus. That's the difference. That is the difference, okay? They were contaminated, but not with the virus, okay?
I think that the user, I think that the listeners should check it out themselves.
They should.
And see for themselves. The other thing is that are we still, like 3 or 4 months ago, I was talking about this, about the test being forced on us, and people didn't take it serious when I called into the show.
So let me ask you this. You have decided that you don't want. Wait 1 second. You don't want to take the test, correct?
No, I don't want to take the test.
Okay, all right. So then you're exercising your right not to take the test. What I am saying is, and what I think the other hosts are saying is this: there are people that we all know that have contracted this virus. They didn't take the test. They got very, very sick, had to take the test, and realized that they had the virus. Once they did that, many of those people, even though they recovered, sir, are still having long-term effects, heart issues, lung issues, you name it. And so what I cannot do in good conscience is sit here after seeing hundreds of thousands of people dead in these United States, with them predicting about another 250,000 dead by the end of Christmas, that we don't take this seriously. I can't do that, sir.
Well,
I can't.
Here's the thing I heard you say earlier about the paramedic and the mask. Every mask is not made equal. Okay, so you need to know that and share that with the listeners.
So again,
it doesn't mean that everybody who creates and makes a mask doesn't mean that mask is effective. Okay,
I agree. I absolutely agree with you there. And so we have to follow the protocol about what the effective masks are. I absolutely agree with you there. No disagreement there. Anything else, sir?
No, that's all the time I want to take with you today.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and I hope you had a good holiday. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Seniors, does your doctor regularly reach out to check on you? Can you walk into your doctor's office and see them if you need to? Do you have your doctor's cell phone number, and can you call them anytime, day or night? At Dedicated Senior Medical Center, their only specialty is caring for seniors. Dedicated makes it easy to get the primary care you deserve. Doctors spend more time with patients than the doctors you may be used to. They offer telehealth visits, help you get your medications, and even make sure you get to your appointments. If your doctor isn't treating you like family, it's time to say yes to Dedicated Senior Medical Center. Call Dedicated Senior Medical Center today to schedule a visit and find out what you're missing. Call 267-443-1900. That's 267-443-1900. Appointments are available now.
To all caregivers and seniors, are you tired of the fake promises and looking for a home care agency that really cares about you and delivers on promise? Abington Caregivers, Inc. has a sign-on bonus for you. At Abington Caregivers, you come first. Call us today, 215-600-3434 for all your home care needs. We service Philadelphia, Bucks, and Montgomery County. Call 215-600-3434. Abington Cares.
Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. Before I take Tamara Wilson and Phyllis Slutsky, because I know they're both on the line. Thank you, ladies. Hang on with me for just 1 second. Let me clear something up for all of you. We have to, as journalists, be absolutely responsible about what we say and do on the air. We don't get on here and talk about a virus if a virus does not exist. It's the same thing that they talked about influenza in early 1900s, where and it was in Philadelphia, hundreds of people dropped dead from this thing because people didn't believe it existed. All right, you didn't want to believe that it existed? I got a black doctor on here, Dr. Ayla Stanford, had her on here for weeks on end. She kept explaining to you all what was going on. Do not call here on this radio show and start to tell me about a virus that doesn't exist when people are dying. You don't want to call it COVID-19? Call it something, because something is out here killing all these people. I need us to really start being cognitive and clear, because the fact of the matter is this. These are the facts. The people who get affected the most by these things that you don't think exist are the black and brown people. So as we are dying and flushing down the toilet because we don't believe and we think everything is a conspiracy, then what are we up to and what are we doing? Are we tired of dying? Aren't we tired of being the ones left behind because we just don't believe what we don't believe? So if you choose not to believe it, that is your prerogative. What I'm asking you to do is not ask me not to believe it, right? Because I have too many people that need to really live. All right, so Tamara and Phyllis are going to be on shortly. Let me take Tyrone quickly. Tyrone, I'm so annoyed I can't even call Tyrone. How are you doing, Tyrone?
Mother, don't be annoyed. Come on. You're Mother Earth, and everything you do is wonderful, beautiful, and uplifting.
Well, Tyrone, listen, I am, Tyrone, I am so cool.
Nobody steal your joy.
So Tyrone, they're not stealing my joy. What I'm saying is, what you will not do is that a whole bunch of people die following behind your foolishness, right? So you want to do it yourself, knock yourself out. But what I am not going to do is be irresponsible and not tell people about something that everybody is talking about out here. The entire country shut down because there wasn't a virus. All these people dead because there wasn't a virus.
Well, Mother, see, you can't feel that way, because then you would be mad as hell at the president.
Hey, Tyrone, do not get me started. Listen, I've got people on the air waiting to talk to me. you know we could talk all day about that. How you doing, sir?
I am good. Well, Mother, I'm just trying to just say thank you for, being that spirit that just keep us alive and well. Yes. And we don't need nobody dampening that spirit. And so don't you allow nobody to get in your world to dampen that spirit, because you have been giving us information that we have been using to live. Yes. And folks got to understand that. But, Mother, I was calling because when I spoke to you last, I did not mention about this president having the audacity to discount all the integrity of all the folks in this country that are counting the votes. I mean, he has acted as though he has been a dictator for 4 years. He's been getting everything he wants for 4 years, but he couldn't get the win.
So Tyrone, let me ask you this. But so you know he's not going to take his ball and go home, right? You know he's going to try everything, and he wants this to go all the way to the Supreme Court. All we have to do is continue to work towards the integrity of what's happening with this election process. They've been very open and transparent with it, and every time he asks for a vote recount to the tune of $3 million, they find more votes for Joe Biden. Every single time he does it.
And so, Mother, we're going to end with this. He called Philadelphia out, and we came.
Yeah,
so,
Lord have mercy. I keep telling them, don't send for us.
I love you, Mother.
I love you too, honey. Have a good one. All right, bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right, Tamara Wilson and Phyllis Slutsky, are you both there? Hello, ladies?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Forgive Mother and the last 4 minutes. Because but I cannot tolerate people dying because we think everything is a conspiracy, right? And so I'm looking forward. Yeah, I am looking forward to having this conversation with the both of you. So let me briefly introduce you and the program, and then we'll get moving. All right. So Tamara Wilson serves as Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at CASA Youth Advocates, serving Delaware and Chester counties. She has a passion for youth advocacy, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and providing more awareness to the concept of disproportionality or the overrepresentation of children of color in the child welfare system in the larger community. Phyllis Slutsky is a volunteer advocate for CASA Youth Advocates. She has been at CASA for 7 years. Shortly after her retirement as a pediatric nurse educator, she was seeking volunteer opportunities, and so she has had the opportunity to advocate for a family of 3 boys in foster care over a 3-year period. So that's good. Talk to me now, both of you. Thank you so much. Welcome to The Source, both of you, and happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you, Andrea. Thank you so much for having us this afternoon.
Oh, you are quite welcome, and I thank you for your patience in waiting for me. CASA stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocate. I was very interested in having this conversation with you because I've had some moms who have lost their children through the Department of Human Services. And the stories were heart-rending. I had them twice on my show before COVID broke. What is your mission? What is the mission of the CASA Youth Advocates? Who are you and what is your mission?
Sure, yes. So CASA, as you mentioned, stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocates. Our mission really is to help abused and neglected children live well, achieve academic excellence, and experience the joys of childhood by providing them with trained volunteer advocates who speak on their best interest. So
how do you get a CASA Youth Advocate appointed to a child? Does the parent request it, or is this on behalf of the Department of Human Services?
Sure. So CASA, we're meant to be an independent, objective party to the case. So typically our referrals come from all over. They come from the judge, ultimately, but the Department of Human Services or CYS or CYF, where we're from, other representatives of the case, so parents, attorneys, parents can ask for a CASA for their child or children, other therapists, other people in the community who feel the need, who feel like that child needs to be supported by an advocate can request us. So that's typically how we get involved, is that ultimately a judge appoints us, sees a need for an independent, objective observer on the case, and so that's when we become involved.
How has this been all right, so let me back up for a little bit, because I love children, and one of the things I cannot stand to see are children suffering, never mind being in the foster care system. Give me a time, share a story with me about an impact that you've had on the life of a child. Give me a real life scenario about an impact that you've had on a child and what that has meant to you as an impact as a volunteer in the system. That's Phyllis I'm talking to.
Okay. Yes, I have had, I've been CASA for 7 years, and I had the case you mentioned for the first 3, and then I was assigned to a case of a young woman she was a girl, 13 years old, and I still advocate for her 5 years later. So my total has been 2 families. When I went in to volunteer, I was told about of course, about the organization, but also about the fact that there was a great need and that only about 20% of the cases in Delaware County, at that time, it was not Chester County, it was just Delaware County, but has since expanded to include Chester County. And I was told that about 20% of the cases are able to get a CASA just because of the number of staff and volunteers.
Right.
So that I knew there was a great need, and I also knew that it was very purposeful work. So I was assigned, what happens is that I went in for an interview and was very impressed with what they said and the need that they had, and I also reviewed the training with them and was reassured. Of course, you're always nervous about whether you're able to do it or, have the qualifications, and the volunteers come from all kinds of backgrounds, all ages, and they reassure you right from the beginning that you will always have a professional case supervisor, so you're never on your own. And the training was I was very impressed when I looked at it. It was very comprehensive. They cover a variety of topics, including cases and role plays, so that you're not, when you're seeing a real live family, you're not doing it for the first time. You've really been through that with the training.
Right.
And I signed up pretty quickly because there was a new class starting, and I was able to get into that class, took the training, and right after, probably less than a week later, I got an assignment. They do give you some choice in location and the age of the children and that kind of thing. But basically, all the cases that are presented are really need a CASA advocate.
Right. So it says here that black children are nearly 4.5 times more likely to be in the foster care than white children. Black children are 4 times more likely to re-enter foster care than white children. And black children are 4 times more likely to exit foster care without achieving permanency. This is, what does this feel like for you? This is the original question I asked you. What has it been like for you after dealing with a real-life case? What impact has it had on the family, the child that you've served, and it has had on you, Phyllis?
Okay. The first case that I had was a family of 3 boys, ages 11, 13, and 16. They had been raised by a single father in a stable home that they owned at the time. And the father had sustained a serious traumatic brain injury due to a car accident. And when CASA received the case, it was almost a year after that accident. And what had happened is that some friends and family members moved into the house to care for the boys, but really weren't taking care of paying the mortgage or the bills. And within 6 to 7 months, they were foreclosed upon, and no one was willing to take them permanently. So they were presented to Delaware County Children and Youth and placed in foster care. So I got this family right after it's called adjudication, when the judge orders a CASA to be assigned. And I got that case, and the first thing you do is review all the records and history. And I found out that the father was still in a facility receiving what we thought was rehabilitation, but in reality he really was not getting the proper rehabilitation. He was just basically living in this place, and he was a young man, 40 years old. Right. So over the 3 years I worked with the boys, they were placed together. Initially, as an emergency placement, they were separated, but only for a couple weeks. And they were placed together, but they were taken out of the neighborhood that they grew up in a completely different school system. And they needed a lot of support. They needed school visits to make sure that they were placed appropriately, and then to follow up with them as school went on that year.
Right.
They need visits to the foster family to see what needs they have. So CASAs are basically required to physically visit once, before COVID, that is, physically visit one time per month. But there's also, in between that, there's a lot of communication and work that goes on to advocate for whatever the current needs are. I felt that over the 3 years, a lot of the work that I did, in addition to helping the boys in school, because they basically were good boys who didn't have a lot of other issues, and what I was able to do is to help look into the father's situation, which really wasn't being dealt with, and that was a very complicated, long, it took about 2 years to get this father into a rehabilitation program, to get him the services and the financial support that he needed, because he still had effects from the brain injury and wasn't clearly able to do that himself. The end of that story was that at about 3 years after CASA opened the case, the family was reunified, and they were able to move back with the father, who then rented a house, got into a rehab program, got Social Security disability, and was able to be with his boys again.
All right. Well, thank you so much for describing that for us. I'm going to take a quick break in a few minutes and then come back and ask Tamara a few questions about being the program manager. You know, it is... I'm looking at this stuff here. It says, well, first of all, it says that you are, you know, it's not difficult to do. Volunteers don't need any kind of special background, no degrees needed in certain fields like social work. You simply need to complete a background check, submit references, go through an interview with them, and complete a 30-hour training course to become an advocate. There was something very similar happening here in the Philadelphia court system that I was quietly a part of some years ago, and I really enjoyed it, where I was working with people who got caught up in the system. These were adults, but they got caught up in the system, and instead of putting them in jail, they got court-appointed advocates who would follow them for a year or two. And so I was able to follow a couple of young men, black men. It was so rewarding for me, which is why I asked you that question, you know, to help them get to the place where they not only were out of the system, they dropped their cases and, you know, remove them from probation as long as they stay out of trouble. So there are programs like this out here. So let me just make sure I add this piece, and then I am going to, at CASA, more than 50% of the children they serve are children of color, but more than 90% of our volunteers are white. That is the piece that is sticking with me. Although 50% of the children we serve are boys, only 14% of their volunteers are male. They're concerned about the overrepresentation of children of color in the system and want to be part of the solution. Children of all backgrounds, races, and ethnicities are in the foster care and child welfare systems, and CASA is committed to diversifying their governing bodies, staff, and volunteer base to ensure that they reflect the diversity of the diversity of the children and the families that they serve. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
Did you know you can catch the flu and COVID-19 at the same time, or even back-to-back? Don't risk catching the flu during the COVID-19 pandemic. The flu shot is a safe and effective way of reducing your chances of catching the flu or spreading it to others. And the flu shot helps protect you and your community from the worst effects of the flu. Don't say, I should have got my flu shot. Call your doctor or visit your pharmacist and get your flu shot today.
Want the latest in Word swag? Check out the shop tab on WURDradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on WURDradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black. Talk Media. WURD Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Halana, your resident health and wellness coach with tips to help you stay well. Let's talk about eating mindfully. Often we are rushing from moment to moment and we hurry through our eating like it's checking off an item on our to-do list. Each day for each meal, let's commit to doing these 3 simple things to activate our mindful eating experience. Number 1, slow down. Number 2, eat while you're sitting down. And number 3, chew each bite 20 to 30 times. You can do it. Eating mindfully is something we can all do to support our overall health and digestion. Go ahead and try it for your next meal today. Stay well with WURD. Happy living.
Stay well with WURD. Connect with us at wordradio.com.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on wordradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. Before we go back to our guests from CASA, the National Weather Service has just issued a tornado watch for most of the Delaware Valley as the system brings strong winds and heavy downpours to the area today. It says hail and scattered wind gusts of up to 70 miles per hour are possible. The tornado watch will be in effect across the entire Delaware Valley until 7 p.m. tonight. So if you're anywhere in the Delaware Valley, Philly, Montgomery, Bucks County, Delaware County, just make sure you pay attention. The National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning until 7 p.m. tonight. If you are just joining us, I have on the line with me 2 people from the CASA Youth Advocates, Tamara Wilson and Phyllis Slutsky, Phyllis, who I just spoke to about being a volunteer advocate, and she just told a story about helping 3 young boys whose father was doing well, had a car accident, ended up in a placement, and they needed help. They needed tons of help. And so this is one of the stories that CASA uses. And let me just tell you what CASA stands for so that you can. It stands for Court Appointed Special Advocate. And so thank you, ladies, for holding and waiting for me. I promise not to hold you much longer. Tamara, tell me now, as the Chester County Program Manager, some of the things that you're seeing in this program, and what do you need from us, the listening audience, and how do we get people to volunteer to sign up to be a CASA Youth Advocate?
Sure. Thank you, Andrea. And as you mentioned earlier, we talked about, you spouted off some stats, which really refers to that concept of disproportionality that we were talking about. And what that is for your listeners is disproportionality is a concept that's not it's common in our field in child welfare, but it's not unknown within our country. So when we talk about systemic racism and how that impacts child welfare, disproportionality is something that we talk about often. And what that is the overrepresentation of our children of color, our black and brown children, compared to their total population within a certain community. So in Pennsylvania, as it relates to children in foster care, that means that while African American children represent only 13% of the total population in Pennsylvania, they make up about 45% of the population in the child welfare system, in the foster care system. And so that concept of disproportionality and those outcomes that you talked about, of black children being nearly 4.5 times more likely to be in foster care than white children, black children are 4 more times likely to re-enter foster care than white children, those are the things that we wanted to call attention to today and make you aware of, because it's something that we see as an issue, that the child welfare sees as an issue, and we're trying to create solutions and collaborate as community to try and resolve these issues. And so what we think of when we talk about what we can do in CASA's impact is really have a population of volunteer advocates that really understands the needs of our youth. We want to be reflective of the communities and the families that we're serving. And as you pointed out, we're not currently there. We strive to be there. We want to give all of our advocates the appropriate training to understand disproportionality, to understand bias and how that can play a role in some of the recommendations that we make. But we also want to recruit more African American people of color advocates to help serve the youth that we are appointed to.
So, Ms. Wilson, so tell us the process. What do they need to do to get people involved, and what does that look like now in the middle of a pandemic?
Sure, yeah. So the process is pretty simple, actually. So we have regular monthly info sessions where you can come. That's kind of a starting point if you're interested in learning more about our program, wanting to hear more impact stories from advocates and the youth that we have served. We have info sessions and things we call impact hours where you can come and listen. After that, if you decide that you want to move forward with the process, what you would do is complete an application, and you can find that on our website, which is at www.delcocasa.org. You complete that application, and then you'd be contacted by one of our staff members who will then kind of walk you through the intake process. As Phyllis mentioned, we provide a pretty comprehensive training before you can get sworn in by the judge to become an advocate. You have to go through this training class, and that's facilitated by our staff, who are all professional social workers or attorneys. And the training is meant to give you kind of an overview of the child welfare system. So like Phyllis mentioned, you don't have to have any type of educational background, any experience in this field, because we provide you with that support through a case supervisor who is either a social worker or an attorney, and they can really kind of walk with you as you advocate and support the youth that you ultimately get appointed to.
How many hours are the volunteers required to volunteer per month? Is that up to the volunteers, or there's a specific amount of time that you ask them to volunteer?
So we average it to be about 20 hours a month, and we ask for advocates to stay about a year. So as you may know, children who come into the system very rarely get their cases closed within a short period of time, and so we want to create that consistency. That is a benefit of having a CASA advocate. There are a lot of people that are in and out of that child's life when they're in the system, and we have a great sense of pride in that our advocates typically stay even longer than that year. We have advocates that have been with us, like Phyllis, 7 years. We have advocates that have 20 years and over. But we really ask for that 1 year commitment to make sure that you are being consistent presence for that youth. And as Phyllis mentioned, we're visiting monthly in the place that they reside. Now, COVID has changed that. For a while, we were only limited to virtual visitation, so we were having at least weekly contact with our youth through Zoom or other, video platforms, but checking in with them, being that consistent presence, making sure that the services that they were to be receiving are continuing, making sure they're able to contact their family. We really pride ourselves on being kind of that consistent presence for them. So that's continued, and we've now moved back into kind of a hybrid, so we are doing some virtual visitation, some in-person visitation, but outside in the community, but we're able to still see our kids and connect with them.
I was going to add, as a volunteer, CASA is a very inclusive organization and very welcoming. So if you're looking for a place that really appreciates you, acknowledges you, I was impressed with that right from the beginning and have all along. It is most of the people that are doing this advocacy work are volunteers under the supervision of a case supervisor. So you're in a group where you meet a lot of other volunteers. There's lots of in-service and continuing education programs where you get, and forums for like a book group and things that you can talk more about what you're doing in your work. So it's a very inclusive and also professional. For me, it was I wasn't working anymore, and I was looking for something that felt important and professional.
So here's my $1 million question, because aside from doing this radio show, which is something that I just kind of popped into, literally, I have been a D&I trainer, diversity and inclusion trainer, for over 20 years. And the thing that sticks out for me is that you have mostly white volunteers. So if you want to bring in, because it's hard, right? But people come in to volunteer, you come in with the best intentions out of the goodness of your heart. These are the facts, though. Children of color and families of color often don't feel heard and understood. So how are you finding ways to make sure that you curb the personal and implicit and explicit biases that may come from people who don't know they may be exhibiting them because they think they're doing it with the best of intentions? Does that make sense?
That makes absolute sense, and thank you for asking that question. So I think it's important for us to acknowledge and start with kind of that self-reflection, right? So we want to always be looking at us and saying, okay, we make recommendations that can make big impacts on youth, and so we need to be checking our own bias, learning about our bias, right? Learning that we all have them. And so, as Phyllis mentioned, we're providing lots of training opportunities. It doesn't stop with that first initial training that you go through to become an advocate. We require that ongoing training. We're doing a lot of what we call courageous conversations. So we're having conversations about, what it's like for a family of color to be serviced by, white professionals, the talk that families of color have to have with their children when it comes to having contact with law enforcement, how racism plays out in education. We're having those conversations with our advocates who may or may not have experienced that at all. So we're coming from that point of wanting to be learners and growing into that. I can't speak any more highly about the advocates that we do have. I think they all come with this awareness, and I think it comes with the growth and experience that you have in this work, in this field, is that they're really there to help, and that does come with that self-reflection and awareness of their own, what they bring to the table and how to set that aside. We try very much to make the reports that we're submitting to the court that the judge and all the attorneys see. We try to give that full picture of that child's experience, and that includes their cultural background. A lot of times that's not discussed in court, and we're talking about, okay, well, what is this child missing? This child's been removed from their home. Now they're in this community that they don't see anyone that looks like them. They're not in a school where they have people, teachers, or mentors or leaders that look like them. And how can we advocate for them to get that while they're in this system, and then also ultimately get them back into a community that's going to support and help them grow.
That's perfect. Thank you.
And
hold on one second, Ms. Dusky. To my trained ear, you're on the right path, right?
Great.
And so
Thank
that's
you.
awesome. Let me ask you, if people cannot volunteer, how else can they support you?
Absolutely. So we had, prior to COVID, had some pre-established funds that would help to meet some of the concrete needs that some of our youth have. And during COVID, we've seen a significant increase in the needs that families and children are experiencing. So we've provided different types of devices to support remote learning during the initial shutdown, accessories to go with remote learning, a lot of grocery requests, a lot of assistance, financial assistance for bills and different things that have come up with our caretakers. Sometimes our caretakers are also relatives or kinship providers for our children. And so if they're unemployed due to COVID or, whatever the situation is, the needs don't stop, right? So we're helping to support that. So we have those funds that we welcome donations. You can go to our website again in order to be able to do that, to donate to those funds. We
Your
also
phone number?
Yes, the phone number is 610-565-2208.
Yes.
And again, the website is www.delcocasa.org.
Thank you so much. Thank you both so much. Ms. Phyllis, I have 30 seconds before I have to go to break. In fact, I'm running long, so let me give you a chance to finish what you wanted to say, and then I'll go off, okay?
Okay, just that it is also can be done, a lot of this work can be done from your own home. Mm-hmm. It's very flexible as far as volunteering. You don't have to be a certain place every week at the same time.
Okay.
So that's a big advantage for people that might have very busy lives.
Yes, agreed. Thank you both so much. So much. Thank you for calling in, letting people know. I pray that you have more volunteers of color to support you in this work, okay?
Thank you, Andrea.
All right. Bye-bye. Tune into WURD Radio Friday, December 4th for a virtual empowerment experience at 1 p.m. honoring radio icon Cody Anderson. WURD Radio's 5th annual empowerment experience celebrating the history and impact of Black radio in Philadelphia will take place virtually on WURD Radio 96.1 FM, 900 AM. And you can also watch this program via WURD TV through Facebook Live, YouTube, and on onWURDradio.com. The virtual event will be honoring radio icon Cody Anderson with remarkable presentations by his son Bill Anderson, Kenny Gamble, Iyanla Vanzant, and more. The virtual experience will begin at 1 p.m. and feature a virtual roundtable with WURD hosts and Cody Anderson, music, poetry, reflections, and more. This virtual event is free. Registration is required. For more information and to register, go to WURDradio.com. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. We will be right back after these messages.
In Pennsylvania, it's now illegal to sell tobacco products, including cigarettes, cigars, chewing tobacco, vapes, or electronic cigarettes to anyone under 21. Stores can get fined up to $1,000 for selling tobacco to someone who is underage. Know the law. Check IDs. Post your retailer license. Make sure only employees have access to tobacco products and only sell tobacco products to customers aged 21 and older. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio, streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. The Source Education Hour is brought to you by Internet Essentials from Comcast. High-speed home internet for low-income families for just $9.95 per month. Visit InternetEssentials.com to learn more. If you are just joining us, welcome, welcome, welcome. We have breaking news again. I like to get the breaking news so that I can let you know. This is just in from Phoenix, Arizona. The results of the November 3rd election in Arizona are now official. Arizona Secretary of State Katie Hobbs, the state's top election official, on Monday certified the final count for federal, statewide, and legislative offices and ballot measures. The state's 11 electoral votes are heading to President-elect Joe Biden, who defeated President Donald Trump to become the first Democratic presidential candidate to win Arizona since 1996. Welcome back, all. If you're just joining us, I had CASA Advocates Court appointed volunteers for Delaware and Chester County. And so we had a riveting conversation about the fact that it was mostly black and brown children. Even though they make up 13% of the population, they're represented by over 40-something%, but 80% of the CASA volunteers are white folks. And so they're looking for people of color to volunteer. In the middle of this pandemic that we're in, I truly just want us to think about, signing up to volunteer and becoming a part of the solution for these young people in foster care. I do have a caller on the line. Michael, put that caller on for me, please, before I talk to Dr. Zanjani. Mr. Black from West Philly, are you there?
Yes, Mr. B. Black. And how are you doing?
Mr. B. Black, how are you, sir?
Yes, I'm fine. That's my little pseudonym, but you know what I'm saying.
I do know what you're saying. All right, I'm giving you a couple of seconds because I know you've been waiting for a while. What can I do for you, sir?
I've been listening to the WURD station all the weekend. It's very innovative, very understanding station, and you're reporting the news. Just like you said, I got friends of mine, I'm 67 now. They said, Mr. B, won't you come out? No, I can't come out like that. It's COVID. There's nothing to play with. Yesterday, I learned a new meaning of the word idiom, right? as words that's playing without saying, which is really mean. It's not literal. Like that's like I say, if it's raining cats and dogs out there, right? We know that's not literal, right? But the literal speech is that we got an epidemic in our environment, a pandemic in our environment, and it's killing us, literally. And I think the people have to know straight talk. You know, they have to talk right to them that nobody can forget it. My granddaughter last year knew how to say coronavirus. You know, she knew that at 3 years old, how to pronounce a 3-syllable or 4-syllable word. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
yes.
You have to get the meaning straight. That's all I'm saying.
Yes. Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for calling, and I appreciate your feedback, okay?
Yes.
All right, bye-bye. Dr. Melissa Zanjani, I hope I said that properly, Zanjani, Vice President of Institutional Advancement and Executive Director of the Community College of Philadelphia Foundation. I cannot wait. Dr. Zanjani is joining us to discuss generating support for CCP's foundation in the spirit of Giving Tuesday tomorrow, December 1st, 2020. Good afternoon, Dr. Zanjani.
Good afternoon. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
Am I saying your name correctly?
Yes, ma'am. You absolutely are. Thank you.
Ooh, I love it. So talk to us about the institutional advancement, of the institutional advancement of the Community College of Philadelphia Foundation. Let us know what that's about, please.
Oh, yes. So institutional advancement at Community College of Philadelphia is primarily driven through our Alumni Association, in which we have more than 685,000 alumni from Community College of Philadelphia, and our Community College of Philadelphia Foundation, led by an indomitable force of Dr. Ellen Jo Waller. And what we do is we partner with these two agencies so that we can raise funds and raise friends who are seeking to invest in opportunities much greater than themselves. And in this case, this means the transformation for the citizens of Philadelphia.
Yes. So I am a huge fan of the Community College of Philadelphia. I don't know if anyone told you.
Thank you.
I am. I have been really enamored by what I see happening there under the leadership of Dr. Generals and the people like yourself who are really just pushing towards technological advancement for the students, free college tuition, making sure that they're getting what they need so that they can move on. You had a student there that I interviewed just before COVID broke in March by the name of Tria Jones, who was she had a lot of issues going on. Husband died, she had the children, and she graduated with honors from CCP because of all the help that you had given her. On Friday, she took her NCLEX exam and she's now an RN. And so I just, it was so good. She texted me at like 10 o'clock at night to tell me that she passed her exam, and it just brought tears to my eyes, because what you're talking about, Dr. Zanjani, is exactly what we need, right? People to continue to support the efforts of places like the Community College of Philadelphia so that we can continue to help students like Tria Jones, who will now be able to move forward and have a life worth living beyond depending on resources from the city and state. Does that make sense?
Yes, and thank you for that. And that is the wonderful thing about the leadership of Dr. Guy Generals, and that he looks at the students in Philadelphia, and it doesn't matter where you start or where you are, there is a place for you at the Community College of Philadelphia. You know, we have students who are starting in what we call junior, young adult community college. We have individuals 17, 18 years old, all the way through to a median age of 24. But we can also have a 56-year-old who's just starting out. And no matter where you are, Dr. Generals makes sure that we have wraparound services that can help you to get through. All you have to do is get there, and we can help you get through it. And individuals like yourself, your radio station, being actively engaged and involved, helps to get that message out, for which we're so very much appreciative. And, of course, we're very, very ecstatic about the work and the partnership with the city of Philadelphia, because Mayor Kinney has just been our strongest advocate with the Cattle Scholarship, and I know you've had programs about that program. And then, you know, this whole concept of Giving Tuesday tomorrow, and for any of your readers and listeners, it is a wonderful opportunity. I don't know if you have specific questions or if I can go ahead and just talk.
Yes, go ahead and tell us how they can give for Giving Tuesday tomorrow.
Excellent. Now, so let me just start very briefly with what Giving Tuesday is that on December 1st, it is literally a global-wide phenomenon, and that we look for individuals to gather in unity and show kindness and generosity in all forms, whether that be your voice, your time, your goods, your advocacy to support. And in this case, we're looking for individuals to help us in raising money at the Community College of Philadelphia and our foundation. Yes. And if you were to go to our webpage, www.ccp.edu, there is, yes, ma'am, in the upper right-hand corner, there's a page that you click on it to give, and you can designate your gift for anything, scholarships. We have an emergency student fund, and in this day of this pandemic, we actually also give out food donations to our students who need help. We give out clothing donations that come to us. And we also have a new center going up, the Career and Advanced Technology Center in West Philadelphia, and we're offering basically naming opportunities there. So if you go to our website, we're giving absolutely, yes, ma'am, ranging from $500, you can get your name up on our wall, to $1,000 to $2,500, and there will be naming opportunities for rooms there, as well as several facilities, places across the campus. But our for Advanced Technology Center is going to be the state-of-the-art with programs in non-credit and credit. And if you go on our website, you can designate your gift from Giving Tuesday to benefit that or anything that's close to your heart. That's the wonderful thing about philanthropy. It's about giving to what matters to you, because we're not just asking for a gift. We're providing the individual an opportunity to invest in causes much greater than themselves. And think of that. Imagine the impact on citizens of Philadelphia through giving to Community College of Philadelphia tomorrow, Giving Tuesday.
So it's www.ccp.edu, and up in the corner, there's a spot for you up in the right-hand corner to designate a gift. Your gift can go anywhere that you designate it to go. I'm loving this. I'm absolutely loving this. And Dr. Zanjani says that the Career and Advanced Technology Center, you can also get naming rights on the building. So if you want to donate $500, $1,000, $2,500. And yes, there are people that live in this city and the external borders of it that were recipients of a good education from the Community College of Philadelphia and really should consider donating some money back to the organization. Is there anything else you'd like to add? I mean, you know, how did you get involved in becoming the executive director of the foundation?
Thank you for that. I will tell you honestly that I am a true living embodiment of the impact of generosity. I am the first person in my entire family to ever go away to college, to get my bachelor's, my master's, and then my doctorate. And because of generous donors who chose to give scholarship to my alma mater, I was able to indeed pay a way to go to school. Because for many students, sometimes $200 for a book makes or breaks whether or not you can complete your education. So it doesn't matter how much you give. It matters that you give and that you invest in the success of a student. Because I promise you, speaking for myself, I started in this work because of learning about that, and then genuinely seeing the transformational impact that others' donations and gifts can make on the individual and on the community. And when you consider the impact of the Community College of Philadelphia, genuinely worldwide, I fell in love with this work. And for me, it's not just a job. It really is more like a calling. It's something that compels me to make sure that I can help the next one and the next one and the next one, just as we spoke about the student earlier. That's what we do our work, and we want to do it in world-class facilities. And that is what Dr. Generals promotes, and it's a privilege to be part of his wonderful executive team and all of the people who work at the Community College of Philadelphia, because I can tell you, you can see even in this pandemic, and I've met very few of them because we've been in this pandemic all through Zoom meetings, there is a passion that is demonstrated every day in each and every aspect they do. And I appreciate that opportunity.
Dr. Zanjani, you are absolutely right. When I have interviewed, and I have interviewed quite a few people from the Community College of Philadelphia, students and staff, the passion that you carry and the dedication for what you do transforms itself and transcends itself into what you're seeing happening now, right? As it applies to your students are graduating now, coming out of and going on. Some students have finished the 2-year process, going on to becoming getting doctoral degrees, becoming nurses, whatever it is that they want to do. But there's something special about that place. And I know people think I'm getting paid for this, but I am such a fan of good solid education, and I am such a fan of people who care so much about what happens to our students. Oftentimes when those students show up at CCP, they're lacking in some way, shape, or form, right? We're talking about how so many people cannot read in this city. And so for them to even gather up the courage, to show up on a CCP campus and say, I want to be a part of this because I want better for myself. Or a student who graduated at the top of their class in Philadelphia and cannot afford to go to a 4-year institution and would have given up but for the grace of having some place to land like CCP, right? And that they're not just going there and wasting space and time, that they're walking away from that institution with a promise of a solid career so that they can support their family. That's one less person that we have to worry about in these streets. Does that make sense? Am I too passionate about this? Because that's where I am.
No, I thank you tremendously for the students, the faculty, the staff, our alumni. Thank you for that passion, and that's what it takes. It takes each of us to teach each one of us to have that passion, to demonstrate it. And it does come out. It is genuinely, speaking in investment terms, it really is one of those, an investment that pays dividends that exponentially impact everything that we do, culturally, community-wise, educationally. There is an economic impact, and no matter where you are, we have something for you at the Community College of Philadelphia. And Giving Tuesday tomorrow on December 1st is perfect. If I may also add very quickly, with thanking you again with your passion. And, there's also other passive ways. So anybody that shops on Amazon, if you go to Amazon Smile, you can designate CCP as your beneficiary. So as you're buying your gifts or anything that you're doing, you can designate that a percentage of that goes to the Community College of Philadelphia Foundation. You can maximize giving that way.
Yes, so and lots of us are on Amazon, so that's a great way to give. Yes.
Yes, and it's our 55th year, and we are doing a lot of different things, different programs. We're going to have trivia programs, a lot of online virtual events, and fundraisers and activities, where you'll learn about the history of the college. And so, no, not at all is that passion understated. In fact, I thank you for restating and restating that passion.
Yes, ma'am. So you've just convinced me. My husband listens to this radio show, so we'll be a part of your Giving Tuesday. We'll do that, and then I'll designate CCP on our Smile, for Amazon Smile, as one of the organizations that we can give back to as we're, buying stuff online on Amazon.com. I want to thank you so much, Dr. Malicia Zanjani. I cannot stand messing people's names up, but I love yours. Can you tell me quickly, where did the Zanjani come from?
Yes, it is Persian. It's my husband.
It's Persian. Yes. I love it. It's a beautiful name.
And the list was all my mom, because she was very clear that she wanted something unique and different, and it's in English, begonia, believe it or not, the full spelling.
Oh, Malicia. I love how she spelled it, too. Well, she will be very proud of you and the work that you're doing right now on behalf of the Community College of Philadelphia. I look forward to meeting you in person one day, but you have a wonderful afternoon, and let's just get people to donate. www.ccp/edu.
.edu. Right on
and
number.
Yes, ma'am. Don't believe me.
Thank
I talk
you
about
so
CCP all the time. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Have a wonderful afternoon, okay?
You as well, and you and your listeners have a wonderful holiday in this time. Be safe and be well.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Bye-bye. Oh, that was such a good conversation. For those of you who have never listened to WURD, The Source, when you hear me on here on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, I am a strong proponent of education, public, private, but especially public education, because I want our children to do well. It is a well-known fact. It has been well documented that children who get a good, solid education from birth to kindergarten, and then from kindergarten to third grade, will not have to struggle from fourth grade all the way up through to college, right? Because the guiding principles are inside of them. And so, at the 2:20 hour, we're going to have the African American Charter School Coalition on here to talk about what's going on there. We are finding far too many children who are falling between the cracks, and we are now up to the 450th murder in this city of Philadelphia. Chicago is up to 700, but guess what? We can concern ourselves about what's happening over there, but we really have to stop and think about what's going on in our local community. And so when you have natural resources like the Community College of Philadelphia, you can see where your money is going. You can see exactly how it's impacting students. When you see people like Tria Jones, Tria with her children, and one grandchild, and the husband died, and she wanted to go back to school, and the entire community of the CCP wrapped themselves around her in the program. I can't even remember the name of the program now, and supported her, helped her in every way. When she wanted to quit, they were like, nope, you can't quit. What do you need? Do we need to get, what services do you need to have going? And Tria ended up graduating from CCP with honors and took her next exam and is now an RN, right? There are so many things out here. We're under such attack as a people that I want us to, whenever we can, continue to talk about the things that will impact our young people. And Tria is an adult. She's probably about 40 now. So you don't have to be 18 or 19 to go back to school. Hell, you don't even have to be 40 or 50. At any age, if you feel like it's something that you want to do and you have the compunction and you live in the city of Philadelphia and you want to be a full-time student, the Community College of Philadelphia will get you in there for free through the Cato Scholarship in a partnership with the city of Philadelphia, the mayor, and a bunch of other businesses. Man, if we're going to talk about the things that are wrong with this city, can we also talk about the things that are right with this city? That is where I am. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
Hi, this is Jeff Brown from Brown's Family ShopRites and Fresh Grocers. Are you thinking about a part-time job to help out with the cost of the holidays? We have plenty of openings. You can apply online at shoprite.com/careers or freshgrocer.com/careers. Come join the Brown family today and help us serve the people of Philadelphia. Have a great holiday.
The WURD Radio Newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting WURDradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio Newsletter. In celebration of radio icon Cody Anderson.
Hey guys, this is Eric Nixon, production coordinator and producer of Evening Words and the Envy McKee Show here at WURD Radio. I have special memories of Cody Anderson while working here at WURD Radio. One was during the 990 movement launch, where Cody had instructed me as the producer to cut the microphone and have dead air during that time. To Cody's point, he wanted to help people realize what it would sound like without a voice in the community. Just proving the point that us being on air was pivotal to continuing our contribution to the Black voice of America.
Join us for the 5th Annual Empowerment Experience as we honor and celebrate radio icon Cody Anderson and his contributions to independent Black media. RSVP now at wordradio.com and join us live on air Friday, December 4th from 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on wordradio.com, the WURD Radio app, or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. Sponsored by Pico, Keystone Plus, Pennsylvania Lottery, Einstein, Dedicated Senior Medical Centers, and TML Communication.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on wordradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Back to The Source. You know, every month I have Deborah Keys Wright on here talking about board members and the role they play in education with superintendents. And I do that on purpose because a good educational system starts at the top with the board setting policy, excuse me, working with the superintendent, and then making sure that the educators have what they need so that the children and the families can succeed. I need you all to see this. And Newsweek wrote a piece that was written by Benjamin Fearnow. School board member finishes off wine glass and flips off in a Zoom meeting, prompting demands for an apology. I need you all to, if you're going to run for school board, right, I need you to practice a level of efficacy so that it's not about you. A Buffalo, New York school board member is being asked to apologize or step down after video emerged showing her finishing the contents of her wine glass before flipping the middle finger and cursing at others during a Zoom meeting. These two Buffalo school board members and several local residents are demanding an explanation from Pauletta Woods, you know. And so you all want to run for office. I say this to you all the time. Before you run for office, it's not just a cute thing to do. It's not just a nice thing to do. What is your reason for doing it? What are you bringing to the table beyond the fact that you just want to run for office and say that you are having a political assignment? We have got to be incredibly careful. That and Zoom, please understand that all sorts of things show up on Zoom. Make sure your cameras are turned off, right? You should not be in a meeting drinking a glass of wine, handling business, and doing those kinds of things. You should not be in a meeting with your camera on and go into the bathroom. We have seen all sorts of things, and many people getting themselves in trouble. Mute your microphones and turn those cameras off if you know you're doing things that you have no business doing, right? And really carry yourself professionally. I am sitting in my home office, and I'm always dressed to the teeth as if I am walking out my door, because you never know what people are going to see or what people are looking for when they turn on a radio to look or a channel to look at you, right? I'm waiting for the African American Charter School Coalition, Lawrence F. Jones, Dr. Stacey Phillips, and Naomi Johnson Booker to get on the line. But while I am waiting for that to happen, let me just make sure I read a couple more things that were sent to me so that we can keep you guys abreast of what's going on out here. Lord have mercy. You heard Miss Mary say this morning that the Cosby case is going up for appeal. Oh, Lord, hold on one second. Let me just make sure. Jeez Louise. There is always something going on here. This was updated on November 29th in 2016, and it was written by Mary Claire Dale for NBC 10, Philadelphia. In 2016, as Bill Cosby's legal team prepared for trial in his stunning sexual assault case in Pennsylvania, the state Supreme Court quietly heard a death row inmate's appeal. Lawyers for Charles Hicks questioned whether three women who said that he had beaten and choked them in Texas should have testified at his trial in a fourth woman's death in the Pocono Mountains. Prosecutors hope to show a pattern of strikingly similar conduct, even if only one woman died. The 7 Supreme Court justices issued 5 separate opinions on the use of prior bad act testimony, and that may explain why they are hearing Cosby's appeal tomorrow. In taking the case, the justices appear eager to clear up the law on one of the murkiest questions plaguing criminal trials. When should a jury hear about someone's past? Investigators say it can be crucial to show a signature crime pattern, but defense lawyers say it often amounts to character assassination. All right. The debate has been central to the high-profile prosecutions of actor and comedian Cosby, movie mogul Harvey Weinstein, and a Roman Catholic Church official in Philadelphia charged with protecting predator priests. But it also comes into play for lesser-known people like Hicks, who remains on Pennsylvania's death row. So the Supreme Court will be hearing that coming up, and so I'm looking forward to what comes out of that to see where we go with it. Ooh, all right, on the line now, we have the newly formed African-American Charter School Coalition, Lawrence F. Jones, Dr. Stacy Phillips, and Naomi Johnson Booker on. Let's see, Lawrence F. Jones, let me just make sure. Oh, I also have a caller. Lord have mercy. All right. It says that Lawrence F. Jones is a longtime educator, community servant, and advocate for public education. He's currently the founding CEO of the Richard Allen Preparatory Charter School, Incorporated. Dr. Stacy Phillips is the founder, CEO of West Philadelphia Charter Elementary School, otherwise known as WPACES. We're going to figure out how she pronounced it. Oh, WPACES. There you go. Dr. Stacy Gill Phillips is an entrepreneur in the sense she's both a public and private school executive and entrepreneur. Dr. Gill Phillips is the founder of the Pee Wee Prep Educational Center located at 251 North 56th Street in Philadelphia. And then we have the infamous Naomi Johnson Booker, Dr. Naomi Johnson Booker has a stellar reputation for transforming failing schools into thriving learning institutions. She is a public education innovator. Through GLA's Leadership and Global Studies program, Dr. Booker incorporated learning outside the classroom into the school's curriculum through United States and overseas excursions. She has been credited with changing the mindset of her West Philadelphia scholars as she closes America's exposure gap, which in turn helps to close the achievement gap. Most of her scholars live beneath the federal poverty level. Dr. Naomi Johnson Booker, Dr. Stacy Gill Phillips, and Lawrence F. Jones. Good afternoon, all three of you, and welcome to The Source.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm so excited to have this conversation. So tell us why an African-American charter school coalition. Is there why is that necessary versus just being a part of the charter school coalition?
So I'll just tell you a little bit. This is Dr. Booker, and I'm happy to talk to you again.
Hi, Dr.
I'll just tell you a little bit about why we started. First of all, for over 10 years, Black-founded and led schools have succeeded in providing a high-quality, culturally rich educational program for students in our city. But they have also suffered through the process of just existing and being recognized as an important part of the educational landscape here in Philadelphia. So we have been collectively dealt with racism, discrimination, inequity, and biases when it comes to schools' oversight, expansion, and renewal opportunities. And many times when the schools have spoken up, one by one, there has been retaliation.
When you say retaliation, tell us what can you tell us what you mean when you say retaliation, Dr. Booker?
So there have been several schools that either won a lawsuit against the school district or spoke up against something that the district was doing, and their renewal or closure followed not after that. And when I say that, I'm saying that their renewal, you know, they go through and they see what you've done over the last 5 years, and they pick through, and if they can find anything that may affect charter law, they use that to shut it down. There are two schools, namely, that have gone through that process, and then there's according to the inequity is that in our schools there have been the same things that might close down an African-led school, African-American-led school, is not the same caliber that they're using or the same metric they're using for a white-led school.
Oh, So there's a difference between charter schools if they're white-led versus black-led. Is that what you're saying to me? Just so I'm clear?
Exactly. And so we decided to come together because we're saying enough is enough. And since I've been in the charter world, I have said they're going to pick us off one by one. And in the last 10 years, 80% of the charter schools that have closed were African-American led. That's 80%. So when we started out with Larry, you can tell us what the exact number was 10 years ago, but now we're down to 22.
Oh, wow. And are all 22 a part of this coalition?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Lawrence,
Lawrence.
we're tired of being silent. We're tired of being silent.
Yes.
And so we're saying enough is enough. And so we decided to make sure that everybody in this city knew that we were coming together, united in one voice, to form the African American Charter School Coalition. And we're announcing that our campaign right now is the Black Schools Matter campaign.
Black Schools Matter campaign. I'm writing this stuff down. Lawrence Jones, I know you, right? Lawrence was educated in the Abington Public School District and is a graduate of Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. And I've known Lawrence because I lived in Abington, full disclosure, for almost 30 years and have had several interactions with him as a parent, as an educator, and now as an advocate. And so, Lawrence, describe to us how many charter schools were in the system before you're now down to 22, and why are you a part of this coalition?
Certainly. And first of all, it's always good to talk to you. I think the biggest thing is when we look at numbers, back in that number of 2009, it was the percentage of kids, of students who were going to independently operated black charter schools was about 36%. And today that number is down to 14%. So when we get down to this number of 22, how do we get there, right? And the way that you get there is very simple. It's the closure of schools, or it's the lack of expansion of schools. And the third way is that when new schools are opened up, schools that are led by or founded by people of color, specifically black people in this case, aren't open. So this is a systemic issue, like many of the things that we see. How I got involved with it is many times these conversations didn't just start. This organization, we have been talking about it, meeting, planning for well over 18 months, really closely to more than 2 years. Right. And in terms of the initial conversation, that's been going on for close to 5 years, because people would have the conversations and look around and see this school got closed or that school got closed, and then it became very obvious that there was a pattern.
Oh, my gosh.
I'll say the other issue with us is not just about...
Oh, I'm losing you. Hello? Which one am I speaking to?
You speaking to Dr. Booker, and I think there's someone else who's with us.
Yes, I just realized that. Dr. Andrea Coleman-Hill?
Yes.
Yes, CEO of Laboratory Charter. My producer, Brianna, just said that to me, is on the line also. Dr. Coleman-Hill, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us.
Oh, you're quite welcome. My apologies for not understanding that you were on the line, but let's make up for it, shall we? Tell me a little bit about your charter school and why are you a part of this coalition?
Well, Laboratory Charter School is one of the original charter schools from 1997, and luckily we are still in business. I'm a part of this. I've been a lifelong educator, and as my colleagues have said, we need to step to the forefront to make sure that we're treated fairly with equity, so that we're not closed prematurely or retaliated against when we speak up about the protection of kids. And the members of this African American Charter Schools Coalition are fierce advocates for children in public education. We're working to improve the substantial historical inequalities that have existed in not only charter schools, but urban public education in general, in the areas of funding, resources, and educational opportunities. Right. So, yes, we are proud that 22 of the 23 Black founded and led charter schools are a part of this group representing over 13,000 children and working families across the city of Philadelphia. Yeah. And we also have many organizations that support us. And at our press conference, many people spoke to us. We're supported by charter school parents, Elaine Wells and Diane Clayton.
Oh, my gosh, I know Elaine Wells.
Yep, Scott Peterman, Philadelphia Charters for Excellence. Lenny McAllister of the Pennsylvania Coalition of Public Charter Schools. Mark Gleason of the Philadelphia Schools Partnership. Sam Staten of the Laborers International Union of North America, Local 332. Bishop Keith Reed, Senior Pastor of Sharon Baptist Church. Reverend Marshall Mitchell, Senior Pastor of Salem Baptist Church. Margaret Mullins, President of Black Women's Alliance, Black Women's Education Alliance. Sharif El-Mekki, founder and CEO of the Center for Black Educator Development. And multiple council members, including Maria Quinona Sanchez, Councilman Curtis Jones, Isaiah Thomas, and Senator Anthony Williams. So we are very proud to stand for our children. We are unapologetically supporting each other because Black kids matter, and we are making sure that we have equity and opportunity for every one of these children.
Okay. So I have a bunch of questions for all of you, and I hope you have some time. Do you all have some time to talk to me?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So, Lawrence, have you had issue with your school being slated for closure? Were you one of the schools that they were trying to close?
Yes, our school went through a non-renewal up here. Actually, we've been through renewal 3 times in about the last 5 years. We're actually going through renewal again. So initially there was a vote, but then we were given a settlement of sorts where if we met certain growth and academic standards, we would be put into renewal again. And so that's where we sit right now in renewal. So that is pretty much where we are. And like a lot of schools, I just kind of wanted to step back. When we look at things like systemic, I don't think anyone is saying that there's a room somewhere at the school district where there's 1 or 2 people saying, let's see what we can do to go after Black schools.
Right.
What we are seeing is that when we look at systems, oftentimes when you have a system where entities that have more resources, whether that's economic, political, or financial, are faring better. And if you're in a city where typically the people who are minority, the Black, African American, and other people of color don't have those same level of resources, that is the true definition of when we start to get this systemic inequality. And this is not just a Philadelphia problem, because there's a study that was done with Johns Hopkins University, the University of Arkansas, and Tufts. And they studied 8 states, not including Pennsylvania, and the same outcomes for Black-led schools and schools of color are occurring. So this is a big system. And the other thing may be that I'm sure my colleagues would speak to is, why is it even important if Black schools aren't existing? So what's the big deal about having a Black school? What do we do?
Right.
Well, Larry, I guess that's where I can pick up and say that this is Dr. Phillips from the West Philadelphia Achievement Charter Elementary School. Thank you for having me as well.
Yes,
and part of what we are fanatical about, and we're very serious about making the acknowledgement and making the awareness clear to pretty much everyone, the school district, families, and also just the educational community in general, that we do have a place in K-12 education. Black founded and led charter schools must have a place in this landscape. And as my colleague Larry pointed out, our numbers over the years are dwindling. WPAC has been around also for 2 decades, and we have been a part of the experience of seeing the fellow colleague charter schools closing one after the other for reasons that are not
the same as white-led charter schools. So we do have a place in this landscape in the same way that HBCUs has a place in higher education. Black-led and founded charter schools must always be an option for our families in Philadelphia.
I am going to take a quick break, but oh boy, do I have a ton of questions for you. And Lawrence will tell you, I pull no punches, right? Because one of the things I want to understand is why are black-led schools such a problem for the other charters, quote unquote, right? When you are trying to do the same thing supposedly for the children, right? Is it that your Afrocentric nature or the fact that you identify with the children better, or what is it that's causing them to be so afraid that your numbers are dwindling while their numbers are growing? Let me take a quick break and then we'll be right back. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Do you want to help kids in foster care? CASA Youth Advocates is seeking volunteers of color to advocate for the youth they serve. 50% of kids in the Delaware and Chester County foster care system are children of color, yet only 9% of CASA Youth Advocate volunteers are people of color. Children in foster care greatly benefit from advocates who look like and can relate to them. They desperately need more volunteers of color. Visit delcocasa.org for more info. That's www.delcocasa.org.
As a business owner, hiring and developing people from the community that your company serves is one of the best ways to show commitment to that community. Let WURD Radio help with Livelihood, our new initiative that connects Philadelphians with companies like yours. We'll feature your business, open employment opportunities, and resources to connect your company with talent and ensure that you reach your target demographic. To learn more about how Livelihood can help you build your team, visit wordworks.com. That's WURD Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD. WURD family. Join us Friday, December 4th from 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. for our 5th annual Empowerment Experience. And this year, we'll celebrate the history and impact of Black radio in Philadelphia by honoring radio icon Cody Anderson, featuring a WURD host roundtable, music by Jack Drummond and Taylor Samuel, presentations by Iyanla Van Zandt, Kenny Gamble, Bill Anderson, Deanna Williams, Dr. Lucille Ijoy, and more. This virtual event and live broadcast is free. Add a holiday gift box including a WURD mask, souvenir mug, and holiday flair for $35, $20 for 4 WURD members. For more information or to RSVP, visit WURDradio.com. Sponsored by PICO, Keystone Plus, Pennsylvania Lottery, Einstein, Dedicated Senior Medical Centers, and TML Communication.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you are just joining me, I have on the line the newly formed African American Charter School Coalition, and with me is Lawrence F. Jones, Dr. Stacy Phillips, Dr. Naomi Johnson Booker, and Dr. Coleman Hill. Good afternoon again to all three of you. We're having a riveting conversation about why charter schools that are led by Black leadership seem to be falling by the wayside while the other schools continue to grow and gain buildings all over the place. The one particular school system that I see with their names everywhere is Mastery Charter School. What is Mastery doing that you're not doing? Who wants to answer that question?
So first of all, I want to say this, Andre. First of all, it is what we're saying. It is not with us versus white charters. It's about the inequities that are being handed out from the authorizer. And so, while you can't say between us, because we're saying that we're not being treated fairly based on the rules and regulations that they're pushing down. And so I just don't want us to be in a different place where it's us against white charter. Okay.
So it's the authorizers that are creating the issues for you.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I'm going to let Larry give you some data on a report that he found. Larry?
Thank you.
Yes, and so when you take a look at it, one of the things that's come up when we talk about the study that was done is oftentimes if you look at it like the crime bill back in the 90s, that was done with the intention of fixing a problem, but it had disastrous effects. We find the same thing now. There has been a specific way of authorizing schools and looking at specific targets and measures that actually is drawn back to a lot of the philanthropic groups that were giving money to charter schools, and they had an idea of what they believed quality was. And so that trickled down to the authorizers.
So who are the authorizers, Lawrence?
The authorizer are the school districts. In Pennsylvania, brick-and-mortar charter schools are authorized by the school district in which they reside. So for us, that would be the school district of Philadelphia. And so the authorizers have these measures and metrics, but what's happened is they have a disparate impact on schools operated by people of color because they also typically don't address the schools that have less resources. So this isn't just about closing schools. It's about not getting expansions for schools. So in a 5-year period when you had 14,000 expansion seats, only 11% went to independent black schools. It's about philanthropic organizations not giving the same dollars to schools run by people of color. And then the impact that occurs in the community is when you have a school that hires over 50% black teachers, where in the state of Pennsylvania, only 4% of teachers are black. When you have schools that have contractors and vendors that look just like the students, that teach from a perspective where you can step in a classroom and hear the riots that occurred in Tulsa and the comparison between things like the MOVE bombing, not as if it's some type of special thing that just happened. These are some of the contexts that are being taught every day. And that's the impact that black schools have. And when black schools are being closed at a larger rate or not expanded or not opened at all because of resources and measures that are putting them in a bad position, that's a problem. It's a huge problem. And it's one that we would love to fix.
Right. Let me ask this question. So when you say the metrics that they're using, are you specifically saying that what they're following as it applies to, are they, let me just be clear, because I've sat on a school board for 8 years, and I've seen the authorizers deny charter school after charter school because they keep saying things like they're not doing the same curriculum, they're not following the same metrics that they're using. So exactly what are they looking for that's keeping African-led charter schools out of the game?
One of the things that's utilized is test scores. And by no means are we saying that test scores are not important, nor are we saying that test scores shouldn't be utilized. But what happens is when you have metrics that are very specific, not only, for example, a test score, but not only does that keep certain schools out of the mix, whether it's a black school, a white school, a Hispanic school, one of the other things that it does is when you are focusing on standardization, part of the charter school law was to have innovation. The study that came out of Johns Hopkins shows that this type of measure and this type of metric and focusing on these things reduces innovation. It creates mimicry, so what we're actually getting is more of a cookie-cutter approach. And one of the reasons that they like that is that the philanthropic organizations felt that big corporations were less of a risk because they had more resources. But that's the opposite of what we're supposed to be doing. Schools are supposed to be for communities, by communities, of the community. And this type of authorization across the country has really hurt us.
Right. So
and
who wants to
if I could just add to what Larry was saying.
And who is this? Who am I speaking with?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Stacy, Dr. Phillips.
Oh, okay.
Charter schools were meant to be small incubators, so they were meant to be different and to look different. And we're not measured as heavily on our mission more so than our test scores. So the metrics that they're using to measure charter schools, it just doesn't capture the differences and the uniqueness of each school, because that's the point. All charter schools came into existence to be able to provide something unique and different than what the school district is providing. And then it comes back then to hurt us in a renewal.
Right. So, because, go ahead, who am I speaking with?
This is Dr. Booker. And so what has happened is that when charter schools started, there were exactly three laws that had to be followed. But since that time, because they're trying to bring us to be like they are, which has been very unsatisfactory for children and parents, they develop policies that are not laws. They're policies, and they use these policies to say, well, you haven't done this or that. So the law says that 75% of your teachers have to be certified. The other 25%, because you are an incubator, because you are supposed to be creative and doing something different, you might have an excellent music teacher, but they're not certified. So then comes along this 100% highly qualified. And so people that were caught up in that renewal of and it was 75% was charter law, but then 100% was something that was highly qualified. Now, with the renewal, it looks like you have not met that metric. Well, you did because you met the 75%. So it's that use of a policy that they created. And again, I always say the gaps are there, and the gaps are created by them. Okay,
right.
My children and black and brown children do not create an achievement gap. It is caused by the people who affect their education.
Yes. Okay, hold on one second, all of you. Hang with me for a minute. I'm going to take a quick break again, and then we can continue to talk, because I have questions. The Source Education Hour was brought to you by Internet Essentials from Comcast. High-speed home internet for low-income families for just $9.95 per month. Visit InternetEssentials.com to learn more. And tune in to WURD Radio Friday, December 4th for a virtual empowerment experience at 1 p.m. honoring radio icon Cody Anderson. WURD Radio's 5th annual empowerment experience celebrating the history and impact of black radio in Philadelphia will take place virtually on WURD Radio's 96.1 FM, 900 AM. And you can also watch this program via WURD TV through Facebook Live, YouTube, and on WURDRadio.com. The virtual event will be honoring radio icon Cody Anderson with remarkable presentations by his son, Bill Anderson, Kenny Gamble, Iyanla Vanzant, and much more. The virtual experience will begin at 1 p.m. and feature a virtual roundtable with WURD host and Cody Anderson, music, poetry, reflections, and so much more. This virtual event is free. Registration is required, however. For more information and to register, go to WURDradio.com. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
Do you have a K-12 student who does not have reliable internet at home? PHL Connected is here to provide eligible students with free high-speed internet to make sure they always stay connected to digital learning. Dial 211 and press 1 to ask questions and get connected today for free. The hotline is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so call anytime. That's 211 to get your student PHL connected today.
Buying something from a dealer just sounds a bit, well, put it like this. My cousin Ray Ray got arrested for buying something from a dealer. So why would you want to buy your car from a dealer? Hi, everybody. This is Nick inviting you to buy your next car from Jerry over at Cardex. See, they're not dealers. They're like a car concierge service. They design a car around you. Almost any make. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and get it for you. So use My Car Concierge, where I've already bought 4 cars. Cardex at 116 East Glenside Avenue in Glenside, Pennsylvania. Check them out online at cardexinc.com. Or call Cardex at 215-886-3230.
Seniors, does your doctor regularly reach out to check on you? Can you walk into your doctor's office and see them if you need to? Do you have your doctor's cell phone number and can you call them anytime, day or night? At Dedicated Senior Medical Center, their only specialty is caring for seniors. Dedicated makes it easy to get the primary care you deserve. Doctors spend more time with patients than the doctors you may be used to. They offer telehealth visits, help you get your medications, and even make sure you get to your appointments. If your doctor isn't treating you like family, it's time to say yes to Dedicated Senior Medical Center. Call Dedicated Senior Medical Center today to schedule a visit and find out what you're missing. Call 267-443-1900. That's 267-443-1900. Appointments are available now.
Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you are just joining us at the 3 o'clock hour, I have the newly formed African American Charter School Coalition, and on the line, Lawrence F. Jones, Dr. Stacy Phillips, Dr. Naomi Johnson Booker, and Dr. Coleman Hill. We're talking about the disparities between African-led, Black-led charter schools, and so this group of 22 schools have formed a coalition, and they have community and local and state leaders behind their efforts. Welcome back, all of you, and thank you for bearing with me because I wanted to clear, a few things as we're talking through this to understand exactly why the authorizers are doing what they're doing. So you're saying the authorizers are really pushing on certain new policies that they've created, which is impacting the African-led charter schools. Here's my question for you. There is, in the city of Philadelphia right now, some report came out not too long ago that says 27% of students in the Philadelphia school district are 0% proficient. What are you doing with your charter schools that are creating an impact beyond what's happening here? Because, folks call in on this radio station all the time saying that their students can't read. They couldn't read. What is different about your schools versus another school that would be able to help the children to get to the places where they need to? Am I making sense?
You are.
Perfectly.
You are. This is Dr. Coleman Hill.
Okay, Doctor.
And I'd like to say that our schools are very different because, like Dr. Phillips said, we are an incubator. We educate children who are very successful when you look at longitudinal data in terms of going to college and getting into select high school. Mm-hmm. We also do that with very limited resources. Mm-hmm. And that's a big difference. The resources at these Black-owned and led and founded charter schools that are public schools operate with a considerable amount of resources that are less than the school district of Philadelphia or any school district in the country. Mm-hmm. And so when we go up for reauthorization, they're holding us to a different standard, and the standard depends on the school. Mm-hmm. If you have a powerful board, you're less likely to face that. Mm-hmm. If you don't have a powerful board, you are more likely to face retaliation and a different metric than you should face. All is not equal, even though our kids are not only educated, but they know who they are as a person when they leave us. And that's very important. And just like Black Lives Matter, Black kids matter. And we should say the names of all of these charter schools that are held to a different standard. West Oak Lane, Global Leadership Academy West, Global Leadership Southwest, Richard Allen, Southwest Leadership, Lab Charter, West Philly Achievement Charter, Sankofa Freedom Academy Charter, Imhotep Charter, Boys Latin, Mass Civics and Science, Discovery, Alliance for Progress, Keystone Charter, Universal Schools, Alcorn, Alden Reed, Buford, Creighton, Deeroff, Universal Institute, Universal There STEM, People for People. We are held to different standards. And that's what's important here. We just want fairness. We want fairness. Equity and equality.
Okay. Fairness, equity,
right.
And Andrea, if I could...
We want to know who we are, we want to know our names, and we want to be treated fair.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Fairness, equity, and equality. You want people to know your name and know what you're doing out there. Okay. Lawrence, you have something to add?
I just wanted to say, you also mentioned, looking at comparisons. And again, we do think there should be accountability. And we also understand that when the authorizer puts forth a metric, in many ways they're looking for that accountability. But let's look at how you measure. If you were to simply measure, for example, my alma mater, Morehouse College or Howard University against Penn State or University of Pennsylvania, you would see that the gap in SAT scores is between 200 and 300 points. But yet, 2/3 of all professionals that are African-American, doctors, dentists, lawyers, are graduating from HBCUs. If you were to look at my school's reading, you would say, wow, when it comes to proficiency, there are several schools that do better. But many of the children that we wanted to serve from day one in middle school are coming to us below basic. And by the time they leave, 80%, actually it's 78%, of all schools, Philadelphia public schools, have higher numbers of below basic students than we do. But that's not fully being measured. So what we're saying is that there are many ways to educate a child. There should be many ways to look at quality in a school. And if you only look at it through one lens, you're going to have some people who are perpetual winners and some people who will eventually be perpetual losers in that game, and that creates the disparate impact. 89% of schools closed, going from 36% of students attending to less than 14, receiving only 11% of expansions. The numbers speak for themselves. We want to be part of the solution to figure out what's going wrong with the metrics and how can we work hand in hand to make sure this doesn't continue.
So what is the impact that you're hoping, what are you hoping to resonate with this forming of this coalition? There's strength in numbers. We are all very aware of that. What are you hoping to achieve with this coalition beyond just showing that you are a group together? What are your asks, moving forward to the authorizers as a part of this coalition?
So I think Stacey has the ask. Stacey, can you address that, please?
I'm just making sure that you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So one of the asks that we have in our campaign, Black Schools Matter, is that the Black schools are recognized and that we are recognized to be a very valuable source and a very a viable option for Black and brown children in the city of Philadelphia, like I said prior. One of the other acts is that we have develop a non-biased system of public school oversight, a non-biased system of public school renewal, and also a non-biased system of public school expansion, so that Black charter schools can have the same advantages or disadvantages as white charter schools, and that the statistics will not end up to be and what they are right now, which is disparity that's really relevant in every area that you can measure equality. So we want to just level the playing field and have it be very, a non-biased system, as we were saying. And the other thing that we'd like to accomplish through our campaign, our Black Schools Matter campaign, is that we want to make sure that we attack the structure of the current charter school office. We like to revamp the charter school office. As of right now, we are not seeing fairness and equity, and we need to see that in the charter school office and authorizers. We need to see transparency and just, like I said, another way to acknowledge the fact that Black schools matter. Also, our Senator Williams, he called for a moratorium on the closing of Black charter schools, Black-founded and led charter schools, until we can accomplish a non-biased system of charter school oversight, renewal, and expansion. So that's the act that we have right now.
And has anyone responded to you? Is any of this stuff in the works as we speak?
Well, we sent our letter, and we sent our letters of stand to the school district of Philadelphia. We've sent our letter to the head of the charter school office. And so what we hope is that they will respond to us, and we're optimistic that they will respond to us in a way in which allows us to work together towards accomplishing some of these outcomes that will ultimately breed an equitable system.
And
I think,
go ahead.
I want to just say, Dr. Booker, that I think that this one voice is making people respond to us in a very positive way, the politicians and the people in leadership roles around the city, because since last Tuesday we've heard from many people, and so you can't get us all, not all 22 of us. So I think that now it's going to make a difference. We're going to step up to the school district. They're going to hear us loud and clear from now and forever, because we're not going away. We're not going away.
And the school district did give us an initial response back. The board gave us an initial response back, and we hope that we can take that response
This is about
to the
identifying
next level.
systems.
Hold on. Both of you are talking at the same time.
Talk at the same time, yeah.
Hold on 1 second, guys. Hold on. Who was the lady that was speaking? Hold on, Lawrence. Who was the lady that was speaking?
I defer.
This is Dr. Phillips.
Okay, Dr. Phillips, say that again, please.
Yes. So I just wanted to clarify that the school district did give an initial response, but we hope that we can move that forward to the next level of action. And we did have a conversation, or we did send a letter to the board, and the board did respond. Joyce Wilkerson from the board did respond to us.
Okay. Thank you. And Lawrence?
No, I was just going to say that this is something that we would like to be a partner in, because if these inequities exist in systems that are impacting our schools, there's a huge possibility, if not a certainty, that there are systems that are impacting all schools, district schools, charter schools, all schools and all children. And let's get together, identify which systems are not working or are harming people, and let's fix them, because it is hurting our community.
Right. I have to agree with you that something is harming our children, because too many of them are showing up. You know, we're able to get some out, and they're doing amazing things, and they're growing. But children shouldn't have to struggle and suffer to get through school, right? And so I agree that the systems, there are systems that are in place that can be that can tie your hands and make you feel like you're not, you can't move and do what you're supposed to do. But at the end of the day, we're looking at the impact on children's lives. And so if we want to grow the city and have it thrive and do the things that it needs to do so that we can move forward in this work, how can we support the lives of those children? That is my ultimate goal as an educator and as a radio show host, right? We're thinking about the plight and the impact on the children that we're supposed to be serving. We're at the 450th murder in the city. There are only 2% black businesses here, and those 2% black businesses have dwindled since then. The charter schools are a part of it, right? Because of COVID, because of the disparate treatment in the way that funding is given out, all of it. You put it together, it is one perfect storm. That is showing up in our system. And then we have, folks who walk in with the best of intentions and say, well, we know what is best for you people, right?
Right,
we have to continue to have leadership that are black and brown hue, that are going to work with integrity on behalf of the children and the families that we're supposed to be serving. So my goal in having this conversation with all of you is that we get some clarity so that the WURD listeners can say, yep, I understand what they're saying. This is what we can do. How can the average person support you, the families? How can they support what you're doing now?
Well, one thing from my point of view is, first of all, we must deal with city council, state representation, and it's not just the charter office, because this is systemic racism that's going all around, and you just listed all of those things as in your last statement. And so those of us that are in the city, we must stand up and be counted in whatever ways it is that you think you need to be counted. Voting, we just proved that here in Philadelphia. We just going and speaking in front of city council, making it known what we just said, because a lot of people don't know about this and they don't think it's happening. But people sometimes feel they're very comfortable, and so they don't have to, because it's not affecting them. It is affecting everybody in this city.
Yes, it is. It is. It impacts each and every one of us. And to the person who would even part their lips to say, well, it's not my fault, not my monkey, not my show, it's not in my community, it's not my, yes, it does. That kind of stuff has a way, it's a cause and effect, right? Equal and greater reaction. What you don't give to people who are hungry and thriving and starving and trying to just get a way out of the plight that they're in, so that they can be educated, so that they can choose whatever form of education that they want to move on and have a better life, and then bring it back to the city so that it is a viable place for them to be. It's going to impact each and every one of us. Philadelphia is now considered the poorest large city in the country. Who wants that kind of designation, right? And so to see all of you stepping up to the plate to try and figure out, let's be a part of the solution, let's do some more work, let's have conversation around how we can continue to support our children, is an important part of that movement to get more done on behalf of the citizenry here in Philadelphia. I hope I'm making sense to all of you. I'm sure I am.
You are. You are.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add? Because I've now kept you on now for about an hour, but I had to ask all those questions.
This is Dr. Stubbs. The only thing I would like to add is
and if we can get our voice heard more.
All right, there are two people speaking. Oh, wait.
Oh, I'm
There's
sorry.
two people speaking again. Go ahead.
So one thing I would just like to add is that one thing that we all know is that when America catches a cold, Black America catches the flu. And what I want us to recognize in this city of Philadelphia, from the state level, from the local level, from the household, is that we can address the flu. We can pull together and we can address those issues that disproportionately impact Black and brown children opposed to any other group of children. So African American Charter School Coalition is here to try to acknowledge and bring those things to the surface so that they can be addressed.
Okay, will do. And the last person?
That was me.
Okay.
I guess I will say that as far as we're concerned, that you help us get this message out, and remember that we will need your help, as with others in the news system, to make sure that the truth gets out to our public and to people. It is about the children in the city of Philadelphia, who will be the ones who will run this city going down the road. We want to make sure that our Black and brown children are there.
Agreed. I absolutely agree. So what I can say to you is that you will always have a platform here, because I'm constantly talking about education, and because I am very clear that it is the game changer for the lives of children everywhere, right? And so what is in place that prevents so many children from not getting that inalienable right? It is a right to be educated. Right. But apparently in these United States of America, it's a gift and a privilege to be educated and to have the kind of education that you should have so that you can move forward. And so I applaud all of you for standing in the gap, for trying to do something on behalf of the Black and brown children.
Andre, we're getting in good trouble. This is good trouble.
Good trouble.
Right now.
Good trouble. Okay. Absolutely good trouble. And, listen, we're not expecting perfection. we know that there will be some missteps along the way. Well, please, and you all know you're all bright, very bright people who know that things are going to ebb and flow. But as long as you keep in mind that those children, those faces, are the ones that you're working on behalf of to continue to make sure that they're represented on some level in a system that doesn't usually think about them, then hey, then you're doing a good thing indeed. So thank you for your good trouble. And Dr. Naomi Johnson Booker, Dr. Coleman Hill, Dr. Lawrence F. Jones, and Dr. Stacy Gill Phillips, thank you all so much for having this conversation with me. And thank you for being really open to the questions that I had for you, because you didn't know what I was going to ask. But, you know, as an educational advocate, I wanted to make sure that I was asking the things that people may want to know, as well as things that I may want to know as you move forward with this work. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, you are quite
Black
welcome.
schools
You
matter.
enjoy. That's right. That's right. Have a good one, all of you. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. So that was a good conversation. I have people on the line. Michael, I just want to make sure. Woohoo! Rebecca from Springfield is still on, Michael? Rebecca? No?
Me?
Hey, hi, Rebecca.
You remember me?
No,
You're the
I
one
do
that told
not.
me about the eye doctor?
Ooh.
Remember?
What happened?
I
Yes,
went to
what
see
happened?
her. Are you kidding? That's been a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing. I really thank you. I called you and thank you so much. When I was listening to the program, and you know, my grandchildren, they went to charter schools. And let me tell you, they went to Wissahickon Charter, Charter School. And the oldest daughter, she left there and went to Girls High. The other two left there and they went to engineering and science. The one that went to Girls High, she's now in college. And it was lovely. I used to go, and I was a grandmother, so I used to go, and I'm a nurse, and so I used to go and do little things and help do little things. And as a parent, we have to do sometimes come in. If you can't do it, your mother maybe, your grandmom can go and help, but help with the children. They need sometimes, you know, it's very important, because I know when my kids was coming up, we used to go and help. That's what you have to do. And that makes everything better, you know,
I agree, Rebecca. Well, what do you think is going on with the Black-led charter schools? Why do you think they're under so much strenuous rebuke from the authorizers? What can parents do to support them?
I think they're jealous of them. I'm telling you, my grandchildren went to a charter school, and they left there, and they're really smart. Like I said, two goes to engineering and science, which is a very good school. The other one went to Girls High. Now she's in college. So I'm saying, I think with the public schools, sometimes I think they might be a little jealous of maybe one particular charter school that's doing well. All the charter schools that I know about, they do pretty good. And they're usually half and half black and white teachers. Not all black teachers, usually half and half. And I find that works. When my kids were little, you don't live in Philly, but they went to Walnut Center, which was the beginning when they were very young, and they had all different nationalities. And we came and helped the parents because we were young, but we want the best for our children. And I'm telling you, my children, they're doing well. One is in business for itself, one's an engineer, one's a social worker, and I have a master's plus 30. And I'm saying, education has to be important to you, to the parents, to the grandparents, and we all have to work together. That's what makes it better. That's what makes it better.
I agree, Rebecca, that when we get involved, you know, in our children's education, with whatever little bit we have or don't have, it makes a huge difference. And even when the parents could not get involved, we would step in and say, you can't show up to the meeting and you can't show up for your children. How can we show up to help you, right? Because really, it matters.
Send the grandmother. If you can't go, send your mother.
There you go.
Because a lot of times we're retired. We have time on our hands and we can do little things. But I wanted to say something else that I think is very important. Two of my best friends died of COVID, of the virus. So the virus is real and alive.
Come on, Miss Rebecca.
And I'm a nurse. Okay, and I know it's real and alive, and it really bothers me a little bit when I hear people thinking that it's a hoax or it's not true. Well, I mean, if on, wake up. I don't
Rebecca,
understand it.
I don't get it either. Country shutting down. Why is the country shutting down? Because we just want to shut down and go into a deep recession and people losing their jobs all over the place.
Right.
Sometimes I want us to just practice good common sense, right? And it doesn't always seem to apply. And there's just certain things that I am not willing to bend on, and people's lives being at risk and at stake is one of them.
And
so
that's
thank you.
so important. And like I said, very close friends of mine, my best friend, died of the virus. It's real. It's here. And if you're in this world, you have to see all the people are dying. Come on, and you can see it. I don't understand it, but you know, I really don't understand. But I'm just praying for people because I don't understand what's going on with them.
I'm going to pray for them and give them a word, thus saith mother, too, on top of all of that. If they bring the noise, they're going to get a word, thus saith mother, because I am not willing to allow people's lives to be at stake because you believe something that may impact the lives of hundreds of thousands of other people. Thank you so much for calling in, Madame. You have a good one, okay?
God bless you, and keep up the good work.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. I know I have a bunch of other callers. Hang tight with Mother for a little bit. I'm just going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, I'll take all of you, okay? You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
In Pennsylvania, it's now illegal to sell tobacco products, including cigarettes, cigars, chewing tobacco, vapes, or electronic cigarettes to anyone under 21. Stores can get fined up to $1,000 for selling tobacco to someone who is underage. Know the law. Check IDs. Post your retailer license. Make sure only employees have access to tobacco products and only sell tobacco products to customers aged 21 and older. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Come smile with Champion Dentistry, the house of smiles. Champion Dentistry has been helping to create, maintain, and accentuate healthy, beautiful smiles for over 30 years. Come have your teeth, gums, and smile checked out with the WURD Cleaning Special. Call now at 215-473-4717 to get your Champion smile or visit them at 1170 North 63rd Street.
This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. There's a lot of chatter over on the Facebook page. I'm reading the stuff and paying attention as much as I possibly can. I want to thank you all. Someone posted on there, why can't our children get vouchers to go to better schools? White children get that too. The better vouchers for white children are their parents moving them into communities where they can go to a school system that can give them what they need. But there are great schools right here in Philadelphia. We just have to give them what they need to thrive and survive, public or charter, right? So look, public-private charter. We have a ton of work to do, bottom line. All right, Prince, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Hey, good afternoon. Great interview.
Oh, Lord. How are you?
I'm doing well. You know, Mrs. Andrea Coleman Hill had come to Schuylkill Falls to solicit some help because she had been turned down or denied her school on Henry Avenue, and when she was denied her school, they had already approved a Hebrew school to go inside of that building, and it was
you better stop it, Prince.
I was on hold because she could have explained. She was the community had so much resistance against.
The National Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Newcastle County, Delaware, plus the following New Jersey counties: Gloucester and Salem, plus the following Pennsylvania counties: Chester, Delaware, Montgomery, and Philadelphia. Effective until 3:46 p.m., the National Weather Service in Mount Holly, New Jersey has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Newcastle County in northern Delaware, northwestern Salem County in southern New Jersey, northwestern Gloucester County in southern New Jersey, southeastern Montgomery County in southeastern Pennsylvania, southeastern Chester County in southeastern Pennsylvania, Philadelphia County in southeastern Pennsylvania, Delaware County in southeastern Pennsylvania. Until 3:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At 3:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a severe thunderstorm was located over Elkton, moving northeast at 70 miles per hour. Hazard: 60 miles per hour wind gusts. Source: radar indicated. Impact: damage to roofs, siding, trees, and power lines is possible. Locations impacted include Philadelphia, Camden, Wilmington, Newark, Middletown, Westchester, Norristown, Chester, West Norriton, East Norriton, Pennsville, Yeadon, Westtown, Carneys Point, Conshohocken, Fulcroft, Ambler, Swarthmore, Ellesmere, and Paulsboro. This includes the following highways: Pennsylvania Turnpike between mile markers 320340 northeast extension between mile markers 21 and 26. Interstate 95 in Pennsylvania between mile markers 0 and 15, and between mile markers 20 and 29.
Being able to educate these children. And that's where we're dropping the ball at. We do not have the political support at the table speaking on the behalf of the ones who are doing righteous towards our children.
Oof, Lord. Prince, what are we going to do? There's so much work to be done, and it all comes down to people's feelings, opinions, and you're right. Those with the political will and power are changing policies and procedures to fit and manage what they want to do to withhold services from some folks. And so, thank you on behalf of that woman that you said, Dr. Coleman Hill, that you stood up on her behalf to get her school where it is. But now we have to make sure that her school remains where it is and that she continues to get support from businesses.
There has to be an endowment, too. There has to be some money from somewhere. I'm really tired of showing me, you know, all these cars and all these expensive homes, and there's no endowment that will financially take care of. And also, too, the gentleman that said he was from Morehouse and Howard, we got to stop that. Because you were still you graduated from those schools, and you're under duress by the system. So when you start putting a Cheney and a Lincoln, some local folks with you, then it's all HBCUs, not certain HBCUs. You compare yourself to the University of Penn and those other schools, and you talk about how well you've done. And so that's a defeatist kind of attitude, because if it wasn't for the historical black schools in this state right here, in this state of Pennsylvania, they wouldn't have breathed breath in none of these other HBCUs. So we all collectively have to get an endowment financially, and we have to stop comparing one. So when I was pledging on my fraternity, I was like, you talking about one school, Lincoln University, and one school, Cheney University, and both of them in the red when it comes to comparing against the other 13 state schools inside of this state of Pennsylvania. So we have to stop that. And I'll hang up and I'll listen to you.
And you know, hold on, Prince.
Okay.
And it feels to me like Cheney and Lincoln are just always treated like they're at the bottom of the barrel somewhere. Just you know.
Right.
And they're right here in our and they're the two founding HBCUs, right?
And you know what? You're absolutely correct. And we have to change that narrative. We really do. We have to start saying, hey, you know, there needs to be that. You had a telethon with Jerry Lewis that you would raise money for kids every year to the tune of hundreds of millions. And you don't have an effective telethon for these HBCU schools to raise anywhere from $5 to $500,000. Are you kidding me? Who lacks the organizational skill in putting this together? This should come natural. This is ridiculous. But then that could be my soapbox.
Well, thank you. We're on the same soapbox when it comes to education. Thank you, Prince. Talk to you soon. All right. Bye-bye. All right. Reverend Joe Williams, how are you?
Good afternoon, young lady. How are you?
Good afternoon, sir. I always chuckle when you call me young. How are you, sir?
I need your help on this one.
All right.
I happen to be here in Atlanta at the moment, not for long. But a lot of problems out here with the election, a lot of problems here with the vaccine is not going to come in this direction, and also Alabama. You might see if you can get somebody from down here that can tell you all the stuff they're doing to black folks. Trump is coming here today, or next week, I believe, trying to rally all those prejudice folks together.
So, Reverend Joe, let me ask you this. Stop for a second. Is there anyone down in Atlanta that would be willing to talk to me about what's going on down there, that lives there?
I'll find out and have them call you.
You better come on now. Find out and have them call Mother so we can hear firsthand what's going on in Atlanta, because you are right. The president said that he was going there to help the Republican senators to retain their seats so that they could continue to do what they needed to do in the Senate. And I also learned that they are having an emergency session right now because people are, I've never seen anything like it in my life. Folks, the Senate and the Congress continues to get paid while they can't pass a bill that would support the lives of millions of people. Millions, right?
It's a disgrace.
It's a disgrace. And a country that's going down is not going to be anything good. You're going to continue to see more violence. You're going to continue to see more death. You're going to continue to see more despair.
You're right on it. We need to, that's what I'm going to call. God, thank you for being the president. We'll get someone to call you.
Please do.
Not least Judge Times. I remember she he said since President in Montgomery
You're breaking up. You're breaking up, sir. You're breaking up. Say that again.
This President Biden won. Like when you go on the other side of City Line Avenue, Montgomery County, they're giving people tickets, and enforcing laws that's been on the books for years. So we need to know all of that. And you go to jail over there. They'll come to your house and get you over a parking ticket. So I don't know if you can have her on your show.
Okay. So I need somebody to call me and talk about that. I have not heard that. This is the first time I'm hearing it.
That's what I'm calling you.
Okay. All right. So let's just figure out we can find somebody to call.
I'll tell her to give you a call. Yes, ma'am.
Please do. All right. Thank you so much, Reverend Joe. All right. Bye-bye. And be careful down there in Atlanta. All right. Bernard, Southwest, how are you?
How are you?
Man.
So I wanted to call to have some input onto the conversation you just had.
Okay,
so,
go ahead.
Some of these charters, all of them, if you look at most of them, including masters, if you look at the data, people don't want to talk about data. When it comes to our children and they can't read, I think we need to have some conversation about data. A lot of our children are still coming out of these charter schools and the neighborhood public schools. Let's just talk about the neighborhood public schools. Reading below level. I think you talk about that a lot.
Yes, I did.
Coming out of all these schools, all of them, to include the charters. Can't find a job, can't get a job, can't interview for a job. There's a whole bunch of teachers. I've been around Philadelphia for a long time, and we've been involved with this charter school movement. There was a group of us that were involved in the charter school movement. So when Tom Ridge was governor, we were involved in the charter school movement, right down there with Universal. We were involved in the charter school movement as a community. You don't hear anything coming out of those mouths. And I know Lawrence. I hope he's listening. We hear anything coming out of their mouths about parents and community and how parents and community support the schools. That's the first line of defense for your schools. Well, Dr. Ackerman put in place student advisory councils, school advisory councils, where the parents and community come together, elect representation on the school advisory council, and oversee the policies that were written in the contracts. These people set the contracts that were written in the contracts of the school to make sure those policies are being adhered to. The charter school office, this charter school office, doesn't enforce the principals in some of these charter schools. The principals of some of these charter schools want to get rid of the SACs. And a couple of those charter schools, I won't go through it now, but a couple of those charter schools were named on the radio today. And have been in public, and have been, yes, ma'am. My name is Vinard Johnson. We were part of an organization called No Side. When they bought Edison in here, try to take over the school system, we created Edison spelled backwards, No Side. We're going to wake it up again. We have worked with these African American charter schools to bring them together. We had them in a room over where HMA used to be on Parkside Avenue. We had them all in the room. They end up fussing and fighting with each other. They got to cut it out. They have to be held. I know Lawrence well. I hope he calls me. They have gotten the support out of the schools that should be in supporting them, and that's the school advisory councils that they were supposed to give offices to, that they were supposed to give equipment to, that they were supposed to make the supplies available to them so they could do their job and overseeing policy. Overseeing policy. I know a charter school that had its renewal denied, and the SAC wrote a recommendation to renew based on conditions. Well, the charter school didn't like it, and the SAC office they didn't enforce they didn't even review it hardly. And so all I'm saying is, and now you have so many public school administrators in charter schools. Public school administrators in charter schools. And they bought the same, they don't understand the Universal has a policy where they have a trade school. They have one of the finest trade school buildings in the city. Their children can't get jobs. I'm just going to say it like it is. Can't get jobs. All you got to do is check it out. Just check it out. Go look at the data. Everything's data-driven. Everything's data-driven. And they know.
Did you hear me asking about the fact that so many children could not read, and what were their...
My sister, that's why I feel comfortable calling you, because I heard you. They've got to be truthful and honest. They run the parents in several of these charter schools out of the buildings because they don't want them there, because they don't want anybody to have any oversight over them, including the charter schools. And Lord knows I'm not... And so I'm just saying that we had one of the charter schools, only charter, several years ago at Lawrence's Place, at Richard Allen Prep. Richard Allen Prep sits right in Bartram Village, right in one of the highest crime districts in this city. We had one of the we had Ollie there. We had the superintendent there. We had the former secretary of welfare there, Estelle Richmond. We had them there. And what did they do? They didn't do anything. Most of the time you hear from them is when their own jobs are in jeopardy. And this thing about being black, I'm black as anybody. I'm black as anybody. But this thing about picking on what black is this and black is that, we got to hold everybody accountable. Our children can't read and write at the levels they're supposed to read and write. They come out, they can't get a job. Their attendance is low. The attendance of teachers is poor. And so I'm not busting on the black charter operators. I'm saying they got to separate themselves and do what they need to do. No excuses. No excuses. Paul Valley used to say, run around, tell those teachers here in Philadelphia, no excuses. Teach these children, no excuses, no excuses, no excuses. I'm tired of excuses. Some of these charter schools have been around 20 years. Look at the data on their middle school. Go look at it. Yes, but yeah, sure, kids come from a failing elementary school to their middle school, and then they leave their middle school and go to a failing high school, Armory High. I just say it like it is. They go to Armory High, they go to Southern High, the kids from Bartram, the kids are supposed to go into Bartram, they can't get into the special mixed schools, they find their way into Armory High School. They have an opportunity to do something for our children, an opportunity to educate. Stop making excuses. Develop a relationship with the community. Develop a relationship with your parents. And then, Senator Williams turned his charter school, I believe he turned it over to Mastery. Mastery. The Mastery moved into the Shaw building where Sharif El-Mickey was the principal, moved into the Shaw building, closed the school down, and a charter school took it over. It's called Mastery Charter. It was formerly Senator Williams School. He knows it. I've been around this piece for a long, long time, and it's time for them to stop playing around. My family, and I'll close with this, and I think my family and our friends went up against the PFT with these charter schools, bringing these charter schools to bear. Some of these people I don't even know. They say they've been around a long time. They have been around a long time, but they ain't been around since the beginning. We went up against the PFT in a hearing at the School District of Philadelphia, at the hearing at City Council, where the PFT was getting ready, they wanted to kill us. But we stood up for the charter schools and the charter school operating school. We thought they was going to do a job. All you have to do is check it out. Start it on read. Start it there.
You said something that stuck with me. Develop a relationship with students and their families. I will check it out. Thank you so much, Mr. Bernard. Thank you so much for calling me. Okay?
Bye-bye.
Oh, you were quite welcome. Bye-bye. Mr. Bernard had a lot to get off his chest, man. He got it off, and he made some valid points. He wants to make sure that all the charter schools are doing well. So I'm going to ask about the relationships between the students and the families, and ask about the questions about the things that he asked about to make sure that we get those answers too. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Intelligence plus character. That is the goal of true education. For all young people to succeed in Philadelphia public schools, they need adequate resources and materials. But not all students have the same access and opportunities they deserve. As Philadelphia public schools continue to operate with remote learning, we at WURD Radio want to do our part to help students have the resources they need to be successful. Please join us and our community partners, Global Citizen and the Cayuga Elementary School, by donating supplies online so students have the same supplies we would want for our own children. Go to globalcitizen365.org to make an online contribution of supplies."
Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media.
Einstein Healthcare Network salutes all those on the front lines, keeping our communities healthy and safe. Thank you for all that you do. And to everyone doing your part by staying at home, we thank you. Working together, we will continue to slow the spread of coronavirus. Einstein is here for you, just like we've always been.
WURD Family. Join us Friday, December 4th from 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. for our 5th annual Empowerment Experience. And this year, we'll celebrate the history and impact of Black radio in Philadelphia by honoring radio icon Cody Anderson, featuring a WURD host roundtable, music by Jack Drummond and Taylor Samuel, presentations by Iyanla Van Zandt, Kenny Gamble, Bill Anderson, Deanna Williams, Dr. Lucille Ijoy, and more. This virtual event and live broadcast is free. Add a holiday gift box including a WURD mask, souvenir mug, and holiday flair for $35, $20 for 4 WURD members. For more information or to RSVP, visit WURDradio.com. Sponsored by PICO, Keystone Plus, Pennsylvania Lottery, Einstein, Dedicated Senior Medical Centers, and TML Communication.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. Mondays are going to be my education days.
The National Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for the following New Jersey counties: Hunterdon and Warren, plus the following Pennsylvania counties: Berks, Bucks, Lehigh, Monroe, Montgomery, Northampton, and Philadelphia. Effective until 4:43 p.m., the National Weather Service in Mount Holly, New Jersey has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Hunterdon County in northwestern New Jersey, southwestern Warren County in northwestern New Jersey, eastern Berks County in eastern Pennsylvania, southeastern Lehigh County in eastern Pennsylvania, central Montgomery County in southeastern Pennsylvania, Bucks County in southeastern Pennsylvania, northwestern Philadelphia County in southeastern Pennsylvania, south central Monroe County in northeastern Pennsylvania, Northampton County in eastern Pennsylvania. Until 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At 3:43 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from near Zionsville to Ambler, moving north at 70 miles per hour. Hazard: 60 miles per hour wind gusts. Source: radar indicated. Impact: damage to roofs, siding, trees, and power lines is possible. Locations impacted include Philadelphia, Allentown, Easton, Bethlehem, Lansdale, Forks, East Norriton, Emmaus, Northampton, Quakertown, Percy, Doylestown, Byram, Wilson, Hatboro, Souderton, Bedminster, Washington, Ambler, and Hellertown. This includes the following highways: Pennsylvania Turnpike between mile markers 334-342 Northeast extension between mile markers 21 and 57. Interstate 78 in Pennsylvania.
School districts, and I think we need to not only look at the people who are working inside the Philadelphia public schools and charter schools, but I think we need to look at the funds that are coming to support these schools from the state. For example, they were talking, you guys were saying that students can't read. A lot of times, some of these outside districts and other parts of the state, which I know somebody who worked in one, they get reading specialists, especially from grades K to 3, where the kids are first learning, to help the kids to read, to help kids get small group support. And that takes money to pay that extra person or to pay an assistant teacher. I think we just need to continue to put pressure on Harrisburg to fund equally in all school districts. And I think it would help our school district here in Philadelphia. We need more funding and more small groups, more maybe adults to take small groups. And as soon as you see that a child's not progressing in the early years, I think it would be helpful to get maybe a second person in there to take small groups to work on those skills where the kids are lacking.
Right, agreed. Thank you so much. I appreciate your calling in and sharing all of this with us.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye-bye. Brother Joe from South Florida. Did I say brother? Brother Joe from South Florida. How are you?
Hey, Mother, how are you?
Lord, this coming back to work on a Monday. It got me good today, Brother Joe. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. Mother, did you get the application for the cycling club?
I did. Listen, I did. I am going to. The president did send it to me at my WURD radio. Tell her I will get back to her shortly. My goal is to join it so that I can.
Yeah, if it looks agreeable to you, and listen, I was a founding member. It's a fabulous club. They preach safety. They're connected with the Pennsylvania Bicycle Coalition, so it's all about safety and health and physical fitness. But if you want to do it, my wife and I will pay for your first year's membership.
What? Shut the front door.
I want you to join. Listen, I'm telling you, it's the best club. It really in the country. I live down here in South Florida now, and they don't have, in terms of African-American club, there's none better than that, than the Major Taylor Cycling Club of Philadelphia.
That is just a sweet. You did not have to do. Thank you so much. You did not have to do that. That was so cool.
So you fill out the application, and I'll send them. I'll PayPal them the money for it. Okay.
WURD listeners, listen, y'all. Listen. When I tell you I did not expect this, love you all. Love you all, Brother Joe. Thank you so much. Mama is still riding her bicycle. I rode 60 miles last week. It's cold, Brother Joe. It's like 30 degrees. So I have been buying winter gear.
Mother, why you think I moved to South Florida? It's 80 degrees down here.
So now I'm buying winter gear and buying winter this and for the shoes, the socks, heated socks, everything. I love riding so much. I'm trying to convince my husband. Now listen to this, Brother Joe. He's listening, right? I'm trying to convince my husband because I have a trail bike. I'm trying to convince him that I want the road bike, and the road bike is like $3,000-$4,000. And so he's gonna send me a text now and go, and who's buying that? But I will have my bicycle because I love riding,
Mother,
and it's so good for my health.
That's another thing. If you once you join a club, we get 10% at Keswick Bike Shop. And quite a few of the bike shops give us deep discounts. Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to look at it, and because my goal was just to go ahead and go buy a bicycle, and then plead insanity. So
Yeah, no, just I'm telling you, and they do layaway, they do interest-free financing, just for for the club members. But Mother, I want to talk about the charter schools. Listen,
yes, sir.
I have 3 children, all college educated. They all went through the public school system. This charter school thing, in my opinion, is the biggest ripoff. They don't have them in Cherry Hill. They don't have them in Lower Marion. If they were good, they would have them there first. They are ripping us off. The data.
You know what? Can I say this to you, Brother Joe? Can I say this to you? Let me tell you what I know for sure for sitting on the Abington School Board for a while. They saw those charter schools coming, and what they decided to do was start their own virtual charter school. So Abington, for instance, has its own virtual charter school where they'll say to the parents, I know you want to go into a charter school system and you want to leave us, but we have this offering for you. If you don't want your child to come into the brick and mortar building, we'll offer you our charter school. You get an Abington high school diploma, da-da-da-da. That's how they've managed some of these districts to maintain keeping charter schools out of their system. Because here is the fact. There are far too many families who feel like their children are not being served properly in these schools, period, right? So what are the options for these families? What do you think the options are, Brother Joe?
I'm going to tell you what the options are. Just like me and my wife did for our children, when there's an issue, you got to show up to the school board meeting. There's one person on every school board that dictates the entire agenda and that's typically the president or the vice president. And due to the rules of decorum, they're the only 2 that can speak anyway. So there's a lot of money, and that typically school boards are non-paid, but they have so much influence over contracts for the paper, for the teachers, for this.
Come on now.
And that's why they get on, because it's the kickback that come.
I don't.
You know, when the doors
I don't.
are closed.
So let me say this, Brother Joe. Many of these school board members have no kickbacks. What they get is the influence and power of being able to do what they can do, right? And so it's a lot. I gotta go because my show is getting ready to end, and I've got like 2 other callers. Okay. Love to you and your wife. Thank you all so much. Okay.
You're welcome.
All right, Brother Joe. All right, bye-bye. All right, let me quickly take these 2. Now listen, I have to get off the air in exactly 2 minutes. Can we make it? George from Center City, you got 1 minute. How are you, sir?
Well, I want to say the gentleman that you was just talking to was dead right on contract parts. But I always tell you that I don't just like calling people out unless they force the hand of thinking I won't do it. Now, Local 159, the prisoners, the two clowns that's the president and vice president of the prison guards up there on State Road, they got 24 hours from this time here to tomorrow to get their act together to protect their memberships that paid their salary. Because the dirt that they're doing playing with the administration and letting those guards, every day as a guard gets sent to the hospital because inmates can whoop on them like that. It don't make no sense for them to be in jeopardy, and nobody does anything about it.
All right, so George, here's what I'm going to...
If they don't come on your show and explain themselves, then I'm going to explain it for them. I'm going to spell it out, how they sold the union out, how it's just horrible what they're doing. So if they don't get in touch with you by tomorrow, I'm going to spell it out and take my time. And since they're going to dare me to do it like I can't do it, we'll see. They're going to be the first special group of Negroes that I talk about.
Okay, all right. So tomorrow, call me tomorrow afternoon. I'll let you know if they called me, okay? All right, bye-bye. Horace, 1 minute. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, and hopefully you are as well.
I am. A mosquito is trying to bite me in my office, but other than that, I'm good.
It's like one of the gentlemen said, everything is data-driven. Everything runs through the superintendent's office. And just real quickly, 2 facts. This is the SPR. The school district came up with its own data information. They paid up $2 million to present to people with this data. Now, out of 215 schools, 194, this is a public school, are operating at an F, okay? Now, out of your 82 charter schools, 78 of them are operating at an F. This is according to the academic scale. Plain and simple, you got to get rid of the superintendent. Everything goes through him. And then from there, this whole system needs to be reconstructed, period.
Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much for calling in. I'm about to go look that data up. Thank you so much. Have a good one, okay? All right. You too. All right, bye-bye. We're at the end of another episode of The Source. Coming up next is Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.